Chapter 226, Crafting the Body-Fixing Talisman. 1. After thinking it over, Yang Lei finally decided to wait a bit, to see if there were any more suitable items later. If not, he would immediately exchange for this one. Actually, Yang Lei regretted a little, regretting why he had exchanged for the face-changing pill formula earlier. If he hadn't exchanged for it, he would have enough cultivation points, and compared to the face-changing pill, this body-fixing talisman formula was much more practical. As for other talisman formulas, Yang Lei casually scanned through them. There were a few that were also very much needed and would be of great help to him, but there was no way, he lacked cultivation points. Of course, compared to the body-fixing talisman, these other talisman formulas were slightly inferior. After viewing the talisman formulas, Yang Lei looked at the artifact refining items. Equipment repair, there were clearly items related to equipment repair. Healing liquid could repair damaged equipment. The cultivation point exchange varied based on the grade of the weapon or equipment needing repair, and the required grade of healing liquid also varied. This healing liquid was divided into yellow rank, profound rank, earth rank, and heaven rank, corresponding to the 4 grades of yellow, profound, earth, and heaven rank weapons and equipment. Furthermore, depending on the extent of damage to the weapon or equipment, the required amount of healing liquid also differed. Yang Lei thought of his Black Brilliance Immortal Armor that needed repairing. This Black Brilliance Immortal Armor was an Earth Rank 9th grade equipment, so it naturally required Earth Rank healing liquid. According to different grades and system analysis, repairing the Earth Rank 9th grade Black Brilliance Immortal Armor required 1.4 million points of healing liquid. This made Yang Lei breathe a sigh of relief. It was only 1.4 million points, which was completely within his acceptable range. Yang Lei had originally thought that repairing the Black Brilliance Immortal Armor would require at least 5 million cultivation points or more. However, the healing liquid couldn't be used immediately after being exchanged, it had to be combined with the healing art skill. Healing art. Searching in the intergalactic system, the healing art truly appeared. Elementary healing art required 10,000 cultivation points, intermediate healing art required 100,000 cultivation points, and advanced healing art required 1 million cultivation points. To repair equipment of the Black Brilliance Immortal Armor's grade, advanced healing art was required. Yang Lei had originally thought that equipment repair only needed the artifact forging art, but he hadn't expected the system to be so detailed. Clicking open the healing art, he discovered that it was merely a branch skill of the artifact forging art. However, healing art had a very good effect on repairing equipment. If artifact forging art was used directly, the effect would be much worse, and the failure rate quite high, similar to artifact forging. But healing art was different, the success rate for repairing equipment reached over 50%. In other words, as long as the level was reached, the minimum success rate for repairing equipment was 50%, and it could normally reach 80%. With healing liquid, the success rate could reach 90%. Undoubtedly, this healing art absolutely had to be exchanged for. And of course, once healing art was exchanged, healing liquid also had to be. Spending 2.4 million cultivation points, Yang Lei exchanged for advanced healing art, plus enough healing liquid to repair the Black Brilliance Immortal Armor. Thus, his cultivation point value went from over 14.9 million to 12.5 million. With this, the problem of repairing the Black Brilliance Immortal Armor was no longer a concern. He had also looked at the artifact forging section and found nothing else. As for array formations, for now, the Elementary Illusion Array and 9 Extremes Profound Thunder Array were enough. Other array formations could wait until he reached the Profound Mechanism sect. And during this time, he should be able to acquire some more cultivation points. So, at this moment, Yang Lei turned his attention back, intending to exchange for the body-fixing talisman formula. Ding, player, do you wish to exchange for the body-fixing talisman formula? Exchange. Ding, congratulations to the player for obtaining the body-fixing talisman formula. The body-fixing talisman formula was acquired, consuming 10 million cultivation points. Today, his more than 30 million cultivation points were now only over 2.5 million, transforming him from a small wealthy individual into a pauper. Yang Lei took a deep breath and exited the exchange system. Actually, Yang Lei could have continued to look further, but he didn't want to become even more agitated after seeing something better. So, at this point, Yang Lei exited the system. Pill refining, Yang Lei was not considering it for now. First, Yang Lei intended to craft the body-fixing talisman. This body-fixing talisman had too great a use, and Yang Lei clearly knew that there would be a lot of trouble coming soon. Many people would surely want to kill him, such as Sima Hu. He would definitely make a move within a short time, but because Yang Lei had stayed home all these days without going out, he hadn't had the chance. Yang Lei's keen senses had detected that two sources of attention were fixed on him. One of them was Sima Hu, and the other part must be assassins. However, they were too cautious, none of them with powerful cultivation came to investigate him. Yet, Yang Lei felt that he was indeed being watched, which made him somewhat frustrated. Could it be from the sky? Yang Lei had also checked the sky and found nothing unusual. So if not from the sky, then it must be from underground. But underground, he also hadn't found anything amiss. Before the true eagle eye, all disguises were useless, but for some reason, he hadn't found any suspicious points. However, Yang Lei still felt something was off. He had always trusted his intuition, and it was always better to be cautious. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Yang Lei's mind. Ordinary people, right, what if the person monitoring him was an ordinary person? An ordinary person with ordinary cultivation, he would completely disregard them, overlooking them entirely. No one could escape his true eagle eye, which meant that the other party had not used any disguise or makeup, nor did they possess formidable cultivation. The other party was simply an ordinary person. Understanding this, a weight lifted from Yang Lei's heart, feeling much more at ease. If he was being monitored by ordinary people, then there was truly no need to worry too much. Ordinary people had their advantages, but also their disadvantages. He didn't need a face-changing pill, a simple disguise would be enough to fool the other party. If it were a master, it wouldn't be so easy. So even if he was being monitored, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. As the saying goes, blessings and misfortunes come hand in hand. Sometimes, a bad thing can turn into a good thing. Why shouldn't he make use of the person monitoring him? Thinking this, a smile curved on Yang Lei's lips. Chapter 227, Crafting the Body-Fixing Talisman. 2. Dare to plot against me, to assassinate me, then I'll let you know what pain is. But before that, he needed to make thorough preparations, and this body-fixing talisman was certainly one of them. Yang Lei checked the materials for crafting talismans, they were quite abundant. Although the body-fixing talisman was a high-grade talisman, the required materials were plentiful, all acquired from the Long Wind Merchant Association. Talisman crafting art. Ding, crafting body-fixing talisman failed. The first attempt failed. Yang Lei had already anticipated this. After all, the body-fixing talisman was no ordinary talisman, let alone his first time crafting such a high-grade talisman. If he had succeeded on the first try, it would prove his luck was truly heaven-defying. 1. Failure, then another attempt. Didn't the proverb say, failure is the mother of success? One failure was nothing. His materials were also quite abundant, so there was no need to worry at all. Talisman crafting art. Ding, crafting body-fixing talisman failed. Proficiency increased. Talisman crafting art. Ding, crafting body-fixing talisman failed. Proficiency increased. Several consecutive failures, but Yang Lei wasn't angry at all. He secretly told himself, next time, it will surely succeed. Talisman crafting art. Ding, congratulations to the player for successfully crafting a body-fixing talisman. Proficiency increased. Success. He finally succeeded in crafting a body-fixing talisman. A satisfied smile appeared on Yang Lei's face. Body-fixing talisman, a true body-fixing talisman. It wasn't easy. He finally crafted it. Although he had failed so many times, it was all worth it. He checked its attributes. Body fixing talisman, special talisman. After use, it can fixate a target. The effectiveness depends on the user's cultivation. Looking at the attributes, Yang Lei was stunned. This talisman seemed different from what he had imagined. This talisman was a special talisman. Could it be that the body-fixing talisman came in many types, or was it originally like this? That wasn't right. The system's talisman formula described how long it could fixate an enemy, which was related to the enemy's strength, not the user's own strength. Could the system have made a mistake? The system making a mistake? Yang Lei was shocked. The system couldn't make mistakes. If the system made a mistake, who knew what would happen? This all-powerful cultivation system was connected to his lifeblood. If something went wrong, the trouble could be immense. Right, appraisal art. Didn't he have appraisal art? He should be able to find the problem by checking it. Appraisal art, special talisman. Can fixate an enemy. The effectiveness depends on the user's cultivation. Asterisk note, a special talisman is one that triggers special attributes during crafting. A special talisman is an ordinary talisman with added special attributes. Phew. After seeing the note, Yang Lei breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed the system wasn't flawed, it was just a burst of good luck. As long as the system wasn't wrong, it was fine. Since he had a burst of good luck, he would continue crafting. Talisman crafting art. Ding, congratulations to the player for successfully crafting a body-fixing talisman. Proficiency increased. Another success. Body-fixing talisman can be used to fixate a target. Indeed, this time the body-fixing talisman was different from before, it wasn't a special talisman. He continued crafting until he had made 5 body-fixing talismans. Only then did Yang Lei stop. Among the 5 talismans, only the first one was a special talisman, the other 4 were ordinary talismans. Yang Lei was somewhat disappointed. Putting away the talismans, Yang Lei stepped out of his room. 3 days had passed, and it was time for him to deal with the Long-Wind Merchant Association's matter. He estimated they were probably getting impatient by now. Young master, you're out. Someone has been waiting for you all morning. Seeing Yang Lei emerge, Xiaozhu quickly said. Zhao Yuan? Yang Lei asked. Xiaozhu nodded. Yang Lei followed Xiaozhu to the living room. He saw Zhao Yuan waiting there, probably a bit impatiently. Brother Yang, you're finally out. You've made me wait for a long time. Seeing Yang Lei arrive, Zhao Yuan was very happy and quickly stood up. Haha, my apologies, I was cultivating, Yang Lei said with a smile. Brother Yang, you should have time now, right? Zhao Yuan asked. Yang Lei nodded. I presume the elders have all understood? Zhao Yuan nodded. The elders have decided. Your conditions, Brother Yang, have been agreed to. This time, I'm here to invite you over to discuss the next steps of our cooperation. Good, then let's go now. Yang Lei nodded upon hearing this. Their decision was within Yang Lei's expectations. His blood essence pill was a great attraction for them, an attraction that absolutely could not be refused. More than 10 minutes later, the two arrived at the Long-Wind Merchant Association. Bai Suzhen had wanted to come along, but Yang Lei shook his head and declined. He wasn't worried about his safety at all now. He had already cultivated the Iron Cloth Shirt Volume 3 to the 9th layer. Unless a martial god realm expert came to deal with him, with the body-fixing talisman and the true spirit talisman, there was no need to worry. If anyone wanted to kill him, they would simply be courting death. Once he managed to fixate an enemy, and then unleashed the Heaven Saber One form or his poison techniques, even a martial saint of great perfection could be dealt with. Of course, if the opponent deployed a large number of people, that would be a different matter. But even if a large group of martial saints appeared, he could use instant travel to escape. So, unless it was a martial god, no one could kill him. Young Master Yang, please have a seat. The four elders were overjoyed to see young Lei arrive. They had already consumed the 4 blood essence pills, which were indeed top grade. At this moment, all 4 elders looked radiant, their entire being having undergone great changes compared to 2 days ago, their cultivation subtly improving. This was all thanks to the blood essence pills provided by Yang Lei, and it was also one of the reasons why the 4 elders agreed to Yang Lei's second condition. How have the elders considered? Can my second condition be agreed to? Yang Lei already knew the answer, but it was better for the elders to state it themselves. Chapter 228, Yang Lei's third condition. Young Master Yang's conditions, we have agreed to. We wonder what Young Master Yang's third condition is? Elder Qing asked. Yang Lei smiled and said, this third condition, in fact, holds great benefits for the Long-Wind Merchant Association. What condition? Young Master Yang, don't keep us in suspense, just state it directly. We're all listening. As long as the condition is reasonable, then we will certainly not refuse, Elder Qing said bluntly. Yang Lei looked at him, took a sip of tea, then slowly said, I wonder what Elder Qing thinks of the boundless continent. Elder Qing was startled when he heard Yang Lei speak. This young man's ambition was truly not small, he actually wanted to scheme against the boundless continent. The boundless continent and their martial worship continent were vastly different. In the boundless continent, powerful experts were as numerous as clouds, martial saint-level experts were nothing there. Even martial gods were more numerous than martial saints on the martial worship continent. It was very difficult, incredibly difficult, to make a name for oneself on the boundless continent. However, Elder Chang's surprise was his own, but it did not show on his face. Having lived for so many years, Elder Qing was old and refined, how could he easily show his thoughts on his face? The boundless continent, this old man has naturally heard of it. However, the boundless continent is much more powerful than our martial worship continent. If young Master Yang wishes to go to the boundless continent, I suggest young Master Yang reach the martial god realm first. Furthermore, going to the boundless continent is not an easy matter. The normal passage between the boundless continent and our martial worship continent is blocked. To go to the boundless continent, one can only pass through the Yen mountain range and then enter the endless sea. The endless sea is full of dangers, and passing through it is almost impossible. Even a martial god of great perfection would not dare to easily attempt it. Yang Lei had not heard of these things. Entering the boundless continent was actually so difficult. However, even if it was difficult, he had to go. Of course, Yang Lei would absolutely not take such a risk before his cultivation was sufficient. As for the endless sea, Yang Lei did have memories of it. The endless sea was one of the 3 great perilous lands of the martial worship continent, even more terrifying than the bloody devil's den. Countless martial saints had perished there, and quite a few martial gods had also fallen. Elder Qing is right. If young Master Yang wishes to go to the boundless continent, you still need to make thorough preparations. If young Master Yang wants us to escort you to the boundless continent, then we old fellows truly cannot do it, another elder said. Yang Lei smiled upon hearing this and said, Elders, you have misunderstood. I don't want you to escort me to the boundless continent. I want to make a pact with you all. A pact? The 4 elders were stunned. What kind of pact, young Master Yang? Just say it. Elder Qing looked at Yang Lei and asked with an indifferent tone. Elder Chang's tone made Yang Lei secretly curse, old fox, indeed an old fox, truly calm enough. It's like this. I heard that our Long-Wind Merchant Association on the martial worship continent was established after splitting off from the Long-Wind Merchant Association on the boundless continent. That's right. Little you must have told you this, right? Elder Qing stroked his beard and said. This is nothing. Young Master Yang is already considered one of us, so you will know these things sooner or later. There's nothing wrong with it. What exactly does young Master Yang want to do? Just say it directly. There's no need to beat around the bush. Yang Lei smiled and said, I wonder if Elder Qing would be willing to see the Long-Wind Merchant Association grow stronger, to unite the Boundless Continents Long Wind Merchant Association and our Martial Worship Continents Association into one, to become the true Long Wind Merchant Association? Upon hearing this, the four elders' expressions immediately changed drastically. You are from the Boundless Continent? Elder Qing took a deep breath, staring at Yang Lei as he spoke. No, Yang Lei shook his head. I am not from the Boundless Continent either. You're really not, another elder asked. Truly not. I am Yang Lei, the third young master of the Yang family's mighty King Manor. I believe the elders are all very clear about this, Yang Lei said, looking at them. Elder Qing nodded. We know this matter. However, we wonder why young Master Yang said that. What intentions do you have for our Long Wind Merchant Association? If young Master Yang intends to scheme against our association, then we can only refuse. Although Elder Qing didn't want to give up cooperation with Yang Lei, if Yang Lei truly had intentions against the Long Wind Merchant Association, then he would have to abandon the idea of cooperation. After all, nothing could happen to the Long Wind Merchant Association. Yang Lei smiled and said, Elder Qing, don't rush to refuse. Please listen to me clearly first. Elder Qing and the others' reaction was within Yang Lei's expectations. Young Master Yang, please speak. As long as it is not detrimental to the interests of our Long Wind Merchant Association, there will be no problem. What I mean is, if I can gain a foothold on the Boundless Continent, and completely control the Boundless Continent's Long Wind Merchant Association, can the Long Wind Merchant Association on the Martial Worship Continent establish a connection and merge with the Boundless Continents Association into one? Yang Lei finished speaking and looked at the four elders. Elder Qing and the others were stunned. Their first thought was that Yang Lei was crazy. What kind of place was the Boundless Continent? What kind of colossal power was the Boundless Continent's Long Wind Merchant Association? To gain a foothold on the Boundless Continent and completely control the Boundless Continent's Long Wind Merchant Association was truly harder than ascending to heaven. Before Elder Qing and the others could speak, Yang Lei continued, if I can achieve this, I wonder if the four elders would agree? Of course, I don't truly want to completely control the Long Wind Merchant Association. The management will still be done by you. I only need nominal control. Elder Qing heard this and still hesitated a little. After a long while, he said, this matter is of great importance. For this point, please allow us to discuss it and reply later. Please take your time, elders, Yang Lei said with a slight smile. Chapter 229, Jade Marrow. Yang Lei knew that this condition was not harsh at all. One could even say it was entirely beneficial to the Long Wind Merchant Association, with no harm. It was merely a matter of name. Furthermore, if he could truly control the Long Wind Merchant Association on the Boundless Continent, then bringing the Martial Worship Continent's Long Wind Merchant Association under his wing would be no problem at all. More than 10 minutes later, Elder Qing looked at Yang Lei and said, Young Master Yang, we can agree to your condition. However, in the future, young Master Yang will need to prepare sufficient blood essence pills for us. The reason Elder Qing agreed was, first, he didn't believe Yang Lei could go to the Boundless Continent, and even if he had the ability to go, he might not be able to control the Long Wind Merchant Association there. Second, if he truly did control the Long Wind Merchant Association on the Boundless Continent, then let alone granting him nominal unification of the Long Wind Merchant Association, even making him the actual owner of the Long Wind Merchant Association would be acceptable. If the Long Wind Merchant Association could produce such a powerful leader, it wouldn't be a bad thing. And agreeing to this condition now wouldn't cause any loss to their group or the current association. In fact, their group could even obtain enough blood essence pills. With such a good thing, what was there to refuse? That's absolutely no problem. Hearing Elder Qing's words, Yang Lei said with a smile. However, the medicinal herbs for refining the blood essence pills need to be supplied by yourselves. Pausing, Yang Lei added, however, this time, not only will you need the medicinal herbs for refining blood essence pills, but I also hope the elders can provide some purple paste fruits. The success rate for refining blood essence pills is truly too low, so purple paste fruits are essential to increase the pill formation rate. Elder Ching smiled upon hearing this and said, "That's completely fine. We can prepare the purple paste fruits and the medicinal herbs for refining blood essence pills. Furthermore, if young Master Yang needs anything else, you can directly state it, or simply go to our association's treasury to take it. Either way is fine." Hearing these words, Yang Lei knew his objective had been achieved. Good. As long as the materials are prepared, leave the pill refining to me. However, pill refining cannot be 100% successful. The success rate for blood essence pills is very low. Without purple paste fruits, it's less than 10%. Of course, with purple paste fruits, it can increase to 25%, perhaps even more. The elders, including Elder Ching, had no doubts about Yang Lei's words. After all, refining blood essence pills was truly difficult. For hundreds of years, no one had been able to refine them. Yang Lei being able to refine them was already excellent, and a 25% success rate could be considered heaven-defying. Good, haha, then from now on we are family. Oh right, young Master Yang, no, Elder Yang, this jade token is your command token. Elder Ching took out a purple jade token. On it was carved the character Yang, and on the other side was the symbol of the Long Wind Merchant Association. Above the symbol was a guest elder mark, which meant Yang Lei was a guest elder of the Long Wind Merchant Association. Yang Lei wasn't polite, took the jade token, flipped it over to examine it, then put it away. Elder Yang, this jade token is your proof. With this jade token, you can gain various rights and status within the Long Wind Merchant Association, just like us. You can also prioritize obtaining all resources within the association. When Elder Ching handed over the jade token, he still felt a bit uncomfortable. After all, this jade token signified no small matter. However, thinking of the blood essence pills and future development, Elder Ching returned to normal. Moreover, Yang Lei would eventually go to the Profound Mechanism sect for development. The Profound Mechanism sect was much more powerful than the Long Wind Merchant Association. If he became a true disciple of the Profound Mechanism sect, it would be even more beneficial for the Long Wind Merchant Association's future development. And thinking of the Profound Mechanism sect, Elder Ching once again recalled Yang Lei's previous words. Perhaps he really had the potential to go to the Boundless Continent and truly control the Long Wind Merchant Association there. Elder Ching, you can just call me Yang Lei from now on, or Little Yang, Little Lei, that's fine too, Yang Lei said with a smile. This matter was settled, so his task was considered complete. However, the system did not give a notification, which made Yang Lei a bit puzzled. Did he still need to establish a force? Perhaps it was because Zhao Yu hadn't officially become the association head yet? However, these two matters were no longer difficult. Afterwards, Yang Lei collected the medicinal herbs for refining blood essence pills provided by the four elders and then left. This time, the four old fellows had truly gone all out for the blood essence pills. Each of them provided 10 portions of medicinal herbs, 10 portions. Moreover, they even found 12 purple paste fruits. Furthermore, among the blood essence grass, there were clearly 2 high-grade ones, which had grown luxuriantly from divine beast blood. These were absolutely top-grade, and it was estimated that the blood essence pills refined from these top-grade blood essence grass would far surpass the blood essence pills he had refined before. After the 4 old fellows left, Zhao Yu excitedly walked over. "Nephew, this time, we're truly fortunate to have you," Zhao Yu said with an agitated expression, gripping Yang Lei's hand. With that expression, there was no need to guess, Zhao Yu had undoubtedly become the head of the Long Wind Merchant Association today. "Congratulations, Uncle Zhao," Yang Lei said with a smile. Same to you, same to you." Zhao Yu finished speaking, then took out an item from his spatial ring. It was a piece of jade marrow. Yang Lei's eyes widened. Jade marrow, it truly was jade marrow. Such jade marrow was rarely seen and incredibly precious. Even across the entire martial worship continent, no one had heard of anyone obtaining it. The most recent appearance of a piece of jade marrow was 1,000 years ago, and due to the struggle for that piece of jade marrow, countless experts died, including 3 martial god-level experts and even more martial saints. From this, one could see the preciousness of this jade marrow. However, Yang Lei couldn't be sure. If it were truly jade marrow, no one would bear to give it away like this. So, Yang Lei used his appraisal art. Jade marrow contains immense and pure immortal spiritual energy. It truly was jade marrow, and it contained immortal spiritual energy. This immortal spiritual energy was enough for several cultivators to break through to the martial god realm. Zhao Yu was truly willing to give this away. This was jade marrow, something that could help martial god great perfection cultivators break through their bottleneck. Uncle Zhao, I cannot accept this. It's too precious. Chapter 230, The Soul Clan. 1. Yang Lei immediately refused, saying, if he accepted this item, the favor would be enormous. This was jade marrow, not an ordinary item. Even the barrier-breaking pill was far less precious than this. What? Can't be accepted? It's just a piece of spirit jade. Although this item is very rare, its value is far less than that of the blood essence pill. Zhao Yu said indifferently. Spirit jade? Yang Lei was stunned. There was a vast difference between jade marrow and spirit jade. Although spirit jade was also precious, it was far inferior to jade marrow. Spirit jade needed at least several thousand, or even tens of thousands of years of nourishment to transform into jade marrow. Thus, the difference between spirit jade and jade marrow could be easily compared. Spirit jade, Uncle Zhao, are you sure this is spirit jade? Yang Lei asked. Isn't it a piece of spirit jade? Could it be fake? Zhao Yu's expression was a little embarrassed. If this spirit jade was fake, then he would be utterly humiliated. He had originally wanted to give Yang Lei a respectable gift, but had not expected it to be a fake. He felt ashamed and furious. Nephew, this is truly inconvenient. I didn't expect this spirit jade to be fake. Zhao Yu quickly explained. Yang Lei shook his head and said, Uncle Zhao, that's not what I mean. Although this jade is not spirit jade, its value is absolutely no less than spirit jade. Zhao Yu breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't fake, it was fine. He had worked at the Long Wind Merchant Association for many years and had seen countless treasures. If he had actually presented a fake item as a gift, it would have been too embarrassing. Nephew, you truly gave me a fright. If this were just an ordinary, worthless piece of jade, then it would truly be mortifying, Zhao Yu sighed. Since the value of this jade is no less than spirit jade, then nephew, please accept it. Uncle Zhao, to be honest, that is not an ordinary piece of jade, but a piece of jade marrow. Although it's not fully mature jade marrow, its effects are still astonishing, Yang Lei said with a smile. Zhao Yu's mouth fell open, filled with disbelief. Nephew, you didn't miscalculate, did you? This piece of jade is actually the legendary jade marrow? That's right, this is the legendary jade marrow. However, this piece of jade marrow is not mature. If we wait a few more thousand years, then this jade will truly become jade marrow, Yang Lei said, holding the immature jade marrow in his hand. Although it wasn't truly mature jade marrow, it was still genuine jade marrow. Yang Lei had previously used his appraisal art to examine it. This jade marrow could help several martial artists break through to the martial god realm. This demonstrated the preciousness of this jade marrow. Therefore, this piece of jade marrow is too precious, Uncle Zhao. You should take it back. It's truly jade marrow. I didn't expect that I had misjudged it, Zhao Yu couldn't help but sigh. He had already given this piece of jade marrow away, and he felt a pang in his heart. If he had known it was jade marrow, he would absolutely not have been willing to give it away. But now that he had already given it, how could he shamelessly take it back? However, if this jade marrow has already been given to you, nephew, then it is yours. Moreover, it was you who distinguished it, so a good sword matches a hero, and pink is given to a beauty. Since nephew can distinguish it, it proves that this jade marrow has a destined connection with you, nephew. So, nephew, please don't refuse it any longer, just accept it. Although this jade marrow was extremely precious, it didn't have much use for Yang Lei. To be honest, if he cultivated diligently instead of relying on the system to level up, then this jade marrow would be incredibly important. However, he didn't need it, but that didn't mean others didn't. Since Zhao Yu had already said so, what harm was there in accepting it? Then, Uncle Zhao, I won't be polite. Since I've taken this jade marrow from Uncle Zhao, there must be a give and take. Please accept this pill, Uncle Zhao. Yang Lei took out a porcelain bottle and handed it to Zhao Yu. This. Is this a barrier-breaking pill? Seeing the label on the porcelain bottle, Zhao Yu was shocked. This was a barrier-breaking pill. The barrier-breaking pill was a sky-high priced elixir. According to legend, this barrier-breaking pill could help martial god great perfection experts break through their bottleneck. This was an extremely precious elixir. Although the jade marrow was precious, comparatively, the success rate of breaking through with jade marrow was far inferior to that of this barrier-breaking pill. In his eyes, the value of this barrier-breaking pill was absolutely above that of the jade marrow, and Yang Lei had also mentioned that the jade marrow was not fully mature. However, he didn't know that, in Yang Lei's eyes, this jade marrow was much more precious than a single barrier-breaking pill. After a struggle, Zhao Yu still returned the porcelain bottle to Yang Lei's hand. Nephew, you should keep this pill yourself. This barrier-breaking pill is incredibly precious, worth a fortune. And as for the jade marrow, since I gave it to you, you absolutely don't need to exchange a barrier-breaking pill for it. Moreover, this barrier-breaking pill doesn't have much use for me. I and Yuaner will never have the opportunity to use a barrier-breaking pill. Even if you, Uncle Zhao, and Brother Zhao don't need it, Bing Quan should be able to use it, right? Yang Lei said. That's not necessary. This barrier-breaking pill, though he also wanted it, an innocent man is guilty because of his treasure. Such an item was not something he could keep. If news of him possessing a barrier-breaking pill leaked out, it would inevitably bring about disaster. Seeing Zhao Yu's firm tone, Yang Lei thought for a moment, then accepted it back and took out another pill. If Uncle Zhao doesn't want to accept this barrier-breaking pill, then this pill should be acceptable. When Zhao Yu saw the other pill, he couldn't help but gasp. A grand gesture. It was another heaven-rank elixir. This pill was also extremely valuable. Face-setting pill? That's right, it's a face-setting pill. Although its effect is inferior to the barrier-breaking pill, it's still a rare elixir. If Uncle Zhao doesn't want the barrier-breaking pill, then this face-setting pill shouldn't be a problem, right? If Uncle Zhao doesn't even accept this pill, then this junior will also find it inconvenient to accept that jade marrow. Yang Lei pushed the face-setting pill towards him. Then I won't be polite. Looking at Yang Lei, Zhao Yu accepted the elixir, then carefully put it away as if it were a priceless treasure, afraid of damaging it. Chapter 231, The Soul Clan. 2. Acquiring the jade marrow made Yang Lei quite happy. Although he lost a face-setting pill, it was totally worth it. With this jade marrow, Yang Lei could cultivate several martial god realm experts. A single person's strength was limited. To control the entire martial worship continent, he needed to have his own forces. And this jade marrow could absolutely be used to nurture talent, but of course, these individuals had to be absolutely loyal. Leaving the Long-Wind Merchant Association, Yang Lei walked alone on the street. It was already evening now, not as bustling as during the day. Suddenly, a person stumbled out, covered in blood. Save me, the person said weakly upon seeing Yang Lei, then fell to the ground and fainted. Following closely behind, 3 figures appeared. Without a word, they immediately lunged forward to kill. These 3 people were not powerful cultivators, they were only at the martial king realm. Yang Lei waved his hand, striking out with a punch, instantly forcing the 3 back. Seeing Yang Lei's formidable cultivation, that a single punch had repelled all 3 of them, these 3 knew that he was truly not to be provoked. They glared fiercely at Yang Lei and the unconscious person, then turned and immediately departed. Looking at the unconscious person, Yang Lei had initially not wanted to bother, but in the end, he still pulled him up and checked his injuries. Fortunately, they were not very serious. He took out a pill and fed it to him. He channeled a stream of true qi into his back, dissolving the medicinal power. More than a minute later, the person opened his eyes. Awake? Hanyu thanks benefactor for saving my life. You're called Hanyu? Your name is quite peculiar. Could you be from the Soul Clan? On the entire mysterious origin star, it wasn't that there were no people with the surname Hun. Those who used Hun as their surname were basically all from the Soul Clan. The Soul Clan was born with powerful soul force and were fortunate in cultivation. Without unexpected circumstances, they could generally cultivate a martial soul and step into the martial emperor realm upon reaching adulthood. However, it was precisely because of this talent that the Soul Clan was feared by the 4 great ancient clans. Therefore, in the end, they banded together and almost completely annihilated the Soul Clan. However, those 4 great ancient clans had now also disappeared for 1,000 years. Hanyu's expression changed upon hearing this. The Soul Clan had not appeared for several thousand years, yet the person who saved him actually knew about it. Was this a coincidence? Seeing the young man's expression change drastically, Yang Lei understood that his guess was largely correct. You don't need to worry. Even if you are from the Soul Clan, I won't pay attention to it, nor will I do anything to you, Yang Lei said, looking at him. Benefactor, You don't need to say more. Your injuries are basically fine now. You may leave. Yang Lei waved his hand. Although he knew a little about the Soul Clan, he wasn't particularly interested. Hanyu's eyes flickered, as if he had made some firm decision. Benefactor, please wait. Originally, Yang Lei had already turned to leave, but he stopped upon hearing this. It seemed this young man had a request for him. Yang Lei thought for a moment. If he could take in this young man, it would also be a good thing. His aptitude was indeed extraordinary. Although he was only at the Martial King's 7th stage now, his potential was limitless. What is it? Speak. I beg benefactor to take me in. Hanyu looked at Yang Lei with determined eyes. Take you in? Possible, but you must give me a reason to accept you, Yang Lei said, looking at him with an indifferent tone. Hanyu said, I am the young master of the Soul Clan. If benefactor takes me in, it is equivalent to harboring the entire Soul Clan. When I become powerful, the entire Soul Clan can be at benefactor's disposal. So, what do you need in return? Under Yang Lei's appraisal art, Hanyu's information was laid bare. He hadn't lied. Hanyu was indeed the young master of the Soul Clan. I hope benefactor can avenge me. Avenge? Avenge the entire Soul Clan? Yang Lei was startled upon hearing this, then laughed. The Soul Clan was annihilated by the 4 great ancient clans. These 4 great ancient clans have also vanished from the continent. Moreover, even if they hadn't vanished, do you think I have the ability to help you like that? The 4 great ancient clans haven't vanished, they've just hidden themselves, Hanyu said. And I trust my own judgment, my own intuition. As long as I follow you, benefactor, I will definitely be able to take revenge and restore the Soul Clan's former glory. Intuition? Yang Lei couldn't help but smile upon hearing this. You think I can help you just based on that? Do you think I'm that powerful? To tell you the truth, my cultivation is merely at the Martial Emperor realm. I haven't even reached Martial Saint. How can I help you achieve your ideals? That's not a problem. Perhaps benefactor's cultivation is lacking now, but in the future, you will surely stand at the peak of the continent, becoming the strongest existence. Hanyu's gaze remained firm. Yang Lei secretly thought this guy really knew how to flatter. He had to admit, those words made one feel very comfortable. Since you have such confidence, then I'll take you on as my little brother. Benefactor, thank you. Hanyu was overjoyed and quickly said. No need to thank me. And you don't need to keep calling me benefactor, benefactor. It sounds unnatural, Yang Lei said, waving his hand. Master. No need to call me master. Just call me young master, that's fine. Yang Lei was always sensitive to the word master. If it were a woman it might be acceptable, but a man calling him master was genuinely uncomfortable. Yes, young master. Looking around, Yang Lei said, let's go. Let's find a place first. This isn't a good place to talk. Han Yu nodded and said, young master, I have a residence. It's very safe there. Good, then you lead the way first. Taking on a little brother meant he was beginning to build his own force. However, what troubled Yang Lei was the issue of loyalty. If only there was a loyalty system, then he could clearly discern who was loyal to him and who was simply pretending, at a glance. Perhaps he could only wait for another upgrade. He hoped there would be a loyalty system by then. A few minutes later, Yang Lei and Han Yu arrived at a small courtyard. It was secluded and very quiet. It would truly not be easy for ordinary people to find this place. This courtyard was clearly also protected by a simple array formation, but such an array formation was completely exposed under Yang Lei's true eagle eye. Chapter 232, Soul Refining Secret Art. Young master, please follow my steps closely. There's an array formation here, Han Yu reminded. But Yang Lei merely smiled, saying nothing. This array formation was far inferior to the ones he set up. Even his basic array formations were stronger than this. Moreover, this array formation lacked a recognition function, unlike the arrays he set up that could recognize auras. This array formation required traversing a specific path, and it had many flaws. Disabling such an array formation would be very simple, for him, it would be a minute's work. Here we are, this is it. This place isn't bad, Yang Lei said indifferently. Entering the courtyard, Han Yu led Yang Lei into a room, then dusted off a chair for Yang Lei to sit on, and personally poured him some tea. This tea isn't bad, Yang Lei praised. Although this tea was a notch below the jadeite green tea, it was far superior to other ordinary teas. Han Yu was delighted to hear Yang Lei's comment. It seemed his master liked tea. He explained, young master, this tea is called Qingyu tea. It has the effect of calming the mind and tranquilizing the spirit. Only my soul clan possesses it. If young master likes it, I can prepare some for you. Yang Lei nodded slightly. Seeing this, Han Yu instructed his subordinates to prepare the tea leaves. Taking a sip of tea, Yang Lei looked at him and said, first, tell me about the Soul Clan. What is the current situation of the Soul Clan? How many people are there? What are their strengths? Also, what is the current strength of the 4 great ancient clans? Han Yu's face darkened upon hearing this. He took a breath and said, today, only about 100 people remain in the Soul Clan. The highest cultivation is only at the early martial saint stage, and there are only 2 martial saints, 4 martial emperors, 15 martial lords, 30 martial kings, and the rest are all martial masters. Our strength is weak, and we have long lost our former glory. Only 2 early martial saints? This truly astonished Yang Lei. The Soul Clan had immense potential, how could it have fallen to such a state? This point greatly puzzled Yang Lei. The Soul Clan has immense potential. How could it have fallen to this plight? Because the Soul Clan's advanced cultivation techniques have been lost. Our Soul Clan has a special physique, and our cultivation techniques are also very unique. They are fundamentally unsuitable for cultivating other techniques. Therefore, with the loss of our techniques, we have fallen into this predicament today, Han Yu said helplessly. The Soul Clan's physique was blessed, but it was also this special physique that made it difficult for the Soul Clan to develop. In the end, the fundamental reason for the Soul Clan's decline was that their supreme treasure scripture, the soul condensing art, was stolen by a traitor 3,000 years ago. Moreover, the continuous encirclement and pursuit by the 4 great ancient clans and the major immortal sects caused the Soul Clan to decline rapidly, leading to its current state of only about 100 people. Advanced cultivation techniques, suitable for the Soul Clan. Yang Lei frowned, seemingly deep in thought, but secretly opened the exchange system. He searched for cultivation techniques suitable for the Soul Clan. After a careful search, he actually found a suitable cultivation technique. It was a profound rank 9th grade technique called the soul refining secret art. Upon closer inspection, this technique was only the upper volume. The soul refining secret art was divided into 3 volumes in total. The upper volume was the basic cultivation technique, while the middle and lower volumes were the more profound levels. And these 3 volumes of the soul refining secret art combined formed a heaven rank cultivation technique. The upper volume was a profound rank technique, the middle volume an earth rank technique, and the lower volume was a heaven rank technique. Yang Lei was astonished. The soul refining secret art was a cultivation technique used to refine the soul, possessing boundless power. However, if it fell into the hands of someone with malicious intent, it would bring immense disaster. This soul refining secret art was not only powerful because it could refine the soul, but also because it could refine the souls of others to strengthen oneself. This point was truly heaven-defying. Yang Lei pondered whether he should exchange for this cultivation technique. After all, that set of techniques was very suitable for the soul clan's cultivation. Although this upper volume was only a profound rank technique, if they had this technique, he believed the soul clan's strength would greatly increase. Several martial emperors breaking through to the martial saint realm would not be difficult. Yang Lei snapped out of his thoughts and heard Han Yu say, if there were a suitable cultivation technique, then our soul clan's strength would surely increase greatly. Alas, alas, our soul clan's cultivation techniques have all fallen into the hands of the 4 great ancient clans. To retrieve them is truly harder than ascending to heaven. The 4 great ancient clans, are the 4 great ancient clans still around today? Then where are they hiding? Yang Lei, on the other hand, was very interested in these 4 great ancient clans. Their strength must undoubtedly be formidable, but why hadn't they appeared for so many years? I'm not entirely clear about the current state of the 4 great ancient clans, but what's certain is that they all still exist, and their strength is formidable, far surpassing the current 4 great clans of the Qianyuan kingdom, Han Yu said. Hearing this, Yang Lei suddenly remembered that when he bid for the Immortal Ascension token at the Long Wind auction house, that Immortal Ascension token wasn't taken out by the Soul Restraining Valley, was it? And the Soul Restraining Valley held a high position, perhaps even comparable to the Profound Mechanism sect. So what kind of existence was this Soul Restraining Valley, and what connection did it have with the Soul Clan? Thinking of this, Yang Lei looked at Han Yu and asked, I have a question. Perhaps you've heard of the Soul Restraining Valley. Both the Soul Restraining Valley and the Soul Clan share the character Soul. And the Soul Restraining Valley is extremely powerful and mysterious. What connection does your Soul Clan have with the Soul Restraining Valley? Soul Restraining Valley? Han Yu smiled bitterly. The Soul Clan and the Soul Restraining Valley actually don't have much connection. At its strongest, our Soul Clan could only barely be on par with the Soul Restraining Valley. The Soul Restraining Valley is unfathomable, and their cultivation techniques seem to perfectly counter our Soul Clan. However, the Soul Restraining Valley has no animosity with our Soul Clan, nor any connection. If the Soul Restraining Valley had also joined in against the Soul Clan back then, I'm afraid the Soul Clan would have been annihilated long ago. Chapter 233, The Soul Clan's Prophecy. Hiss. Yang Lei couldn't help but gasp. This Soul Restraining Valley was surprisingly powerful, far more so than he had imagined. What exactly was the status of this Soul Restraining Valley? If young master wishes to inquire about the Soul Restraining Valley, I suggest young master abandon the idea. The Soul Restraining Valley is too powerful. Unless young master possesses the power to contend with them, you must absolutely not inquire, otherwise, it is very likely to bring great trouble, Han Yu said. Yang Lei said, don't worry about that. I have no enmity with the Soul Restraining Valley, so I won't get entangled with them, much less seek trouble with them. Although he said so verbally, his curiosity about the Soul Restraining Valley did not diminish in the slightest. He secretly thought, Soul Restraining Valley, one day, I will uncover your mysterious veil. Oh right, where are the other members of your Soul Clan? Yang Lei proactively changed the topic. Since he intended to take in the Soul Clan, he must thoroughly understand them. With over 100 members in the Soul Clan now, he needed to know how they were arranged. "They're in Dagon village," Hanyu said. "However, one of our 2 martial saint experts is with me here. Then have him come out and meet me. His prestige and authority must be quite high, and he probably won't have the same view on you acknowledging me as your master," Yang Lei said. Indeed, Hanyu had not yet told him. That martial saint, named Han Shan, was the highest in cultivation and prestige within the Soul Clan. His status was second only to Hanyu, the young clan head. "Good." Hanyu nodded. "Uncle Shan is a martial saint cultivator. I wonder if young master can suppress him." Yang Lei, however, didn't care at all. An early martial saint, that's all. If he wanted to kill him, it would be easy. The time it took to drink a cup of tea passed. An old man with a grizzled beard appeared in the study. "You are the person the young clan head spoke of?" Han Shan's tone was not at all polite as he entered the study. Yang Lei did not mind, but nodded slightly with a smile. "That's right, it's me. And I will also be the master of your entire Soul Clan." "What?" Han Shan was furious upon hearing this. "Young man, I am very grateful that you saved our young clan head, but do you know what you are saying?" He actually dared to say he wanted to become the master of the entire Soul Clan. How could Han Shan not be enraged? Although the Soul Clan had declined, their pride remained. They would absolutely not acknowledge anyone else as their master, even at the cost of extermination. "I naturally know what I am saying. However, your entire Soul Clan submitting to me is not my idea, but your young master's. Furthermore, to me, your Soul Clan is merely a potential burden. Before you become strong, you are only trouble." Yang Lei looked at Han Shan and spoke bluntly. "What? You even call our Soul Clan trouble? You have a big mouth." Han Shan roared, looking as if he was about to attack. "Uncle Shan, please don't be angry for now. Listen to me first." At this moment, Hanyu saw Han Shan's rage and quickly pulled him back. "Humph, young clan head, do you know what you are doing? The old clan head just passed away, and you actually made such a choice. Where are you leading our Soul Clan? How can you face the old clan head spirit in heaven?" Han Shan angrily flung his sleeve. "I only want the Soul Clan to become strong. I only want to avenge my father." Hanyu looked at Han Shan and said. "Uncle Shan, I only know that if we rely solely on our own strength, we will absolutely not succeed. I will never be able to take revenge, and the Soul Clan will never become strong. But you can't sell off the entire Soul Clan." Han Shan naturally knew the current state of the Soul Clan. Today, the Soul Clan could be said to be troubled both internally and externally. Internally, the younger generation of the Soul Clan had declined. Externally, the Soul Clan was still being pursued by the 4 great ancient clans, and there were faint traces of this. Hanyu's father, the previous clan head, was discovered by the 4 great ancient clans and barely escaped with his life, but he was severely wounded. He returned to the clan, gave some final instructions, and then died. "I know, but Uncle Shan, please listen to me first, okay?" Hanyu said. "Good, I'll listen." Han Shan took a deep breath, suppressing his anger. "I wonder if Uncle Shan still remembers the prophecy of our Soul Clan." Hanyu looked at Han Shan and said solemnly. "What? You mean?" Han Shan was shocked, his tone full of surprise. If this was true, then the Soul Clan could truly rise. No one would believe that the Soul Clan's prophecy was false. It was the foundation of the entire Soul Clan. This prophecy had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, and the prophecy of the Soul Clan's decline had already come true. That's right. Hanyu took out a bead, the Soul Pearl. This was the inheritance of the Soul Clan. If they encountered the person from the prophecy, the Soul Pearl would emit a message. This Soul Pearl had been carried by successive clan heads. The fortune of the entire Soul Clan existed within the Soul Pearl. Most of the Soul Pearl's prophecies had come true, and the true owner of the Soul Pearl was not from the Soul Clan, but the person in the prophecy. If the young man before them was truly that person, then the Soul Clan had found its true pillar. Yang Lei was vague about the conversation between the two, but one thing was certain, he was very likely the person in that Soul Clan prophecy. What exactly was the Soul Clan's prophecy? Yang Lei was extremely curious, and this old man Hun Shan's attitude towards him had clearly undergone a huge change after hearing about the prophecy. Young master, this old one was rude just now. At this moment, Hun Shan apologized respectfully to Yang Lei. Yang Lei smiled, it's nothing, Senior doesn't need to be like this. Senior was merely doing so for the sake of the Soul Clan. I don't mind. Hun Shan quickly said, young master, please don't say that. This old one cannot bear the title of senior. Just call me Hun Shan, young master. Chapter 240, Comprehending the Spirit Gathering Array. Yang Lei nodded slightly, but it was also a bit difficult now. Yang Lei knew very well that although the Soul Pearl and the Illusory Annihilation Pearl were in his body and had acknowledged him as their master, currently, they were at odds, equal in status. It was difficult, extremely difficult, for Yang Lei to command them. But even so, he had to try. Otherwise, he would look like a swindler. Soul Pearl. Yang Lei focused his thoughts and began to command the Soul Pearl. No response? Once, twice, still no response. Yang Lei was a bit annoyed. It was in his body, it had acknowledged him as its master, yet it still wouldn't obey him. It had become a demanding master itself. Come out! Yang Lei roared in his heart. What's happening? Could it be that the Soul Pearl has a problem and cannot be summoned? At this moment, Han Yu's forehead was also sweating. Although he and Hun Shan had personally witnessed the Soul Pearl acknowledge its master, if they couldn't let everyone see clearly and confirm the truth of the matter, it would be a bit awkward. After all, this was a major event, not something that could be simply stated. Even if he was the clan head and Uncle Shan held a very high position in the clan, they couldn't possibly make everyone easily believe this matter. Just as Yang Lei's face was flushed, the Soul Pearl finally reacted. It slowly accepted Yang Lei's control and gradually flew out from between Yang Lei's eyebrows. It emitted a faint purple glow. Soul Pearl, it's really the Soul Pearl. Heaven's blessing. Ancestors' blessing. Our Soul Clan has finally waited for this day. Everyone knelt down one after another. Seeing this situation, Yang Lei was somewhat dumbfounded. He hadn't expected them all to kneel down, not even Hun Yu and Hun Shan were exceptions. At this moment, the Soul Pearl hovered in front, its light growing stronger. These rays of light seemed sentient, enveloping all the members of the Soul Clan. Yang Lei clearly sensed that some kind of energy was emerging from within the Soul Pearl. This energy was channeled into the bodies of the Soul Clan members through the purple light. It caused some kind of change in their bodies. Those who had cultivated martial souls gradually solidified them, and those who hadn't, their soul force was gradually strengthening. Their physiques, under the purple light, underwent wondrous changes. Their physiques strengthened, and their bones experienced great transformations, making Yang Lei very envious. He was the master of the Soul Pearl, so why didn't he see the Soul Pearl change his physique? 1 minute passed. 2 minutes passed. 5 minutes later, the Soul Pearl's light gradually weakened, then finally disappeared. Afterward, the Soul Pearl transformed into a purple streak and once again entered Yang Lei's glabella. Everyone then recovered their senses. Young Master! Young Master! Over 100 people shouted in unison towards Yang Lei, their voices extremely loud. You all, please get up first. So many people kneeling before him made Yang Lei feel a chill run down his spine, as if he were a dead person and they were offering sacrifices to him. Everyone heard this and then said in unison, Thank you, young master. Only then did they stand up. You all don't need to call me young master. Just call me young lord, that's fine, Yang Lei said, waving his hand. Yes, young lord. Han Yu walked over to Yang Lei and introduced everyone one by one. The members of the Soul Clan were truly too few, seemingly on the verge of fading away. But Yang Lei's appearance made the Soul Clan members see hope, see the future. Therefore, they were absolutely loyal to Yang Lei. Yang Lei checked the system and found that their loyalty levels had all reached over 90, and Han Yu and Han Shan had actually reached 95. Yang Lei couldn't help but sigh, this is the power of faith, ah. Young lord, shall I show you around? After the introductions, Han Yu asked. Yang Lei nodded slightly. The Soul Clan village was not large, but also not small. It had everything one could need, especially medicinal herbs, which were far more abundant than outside. Even rare spirit herbs that were hard to find outside were plentiful. What astonished Yang Lei was that there were actually purple paste fruits here. Purple paste fruits were currently scarce for Yang Lei. With these purple paste fruits, his pill refining success rate would greatly increase. Not only purple paste fruits, but there was also another type of medicinal ingredient that greatly excited Yang Lei, crouching dragon drunk. Yang Lei remembered that crouching dragon drunk was the main ingredient for crafting drunk life dream death wine. Furthermore, this crouching dragon drunk could not only be used to refine drunk life dream death wine but also a very potent anesthetic that could silently incapacitate people. Even martial god great perfection experts couldn't escape it. However, the difficulty of refining this anesthetic was too great, and Yang Lei didn't have that ability yet. What kind of place is that? Yang Lei noticed that the spiritual energy ahead was much richer than in other places, so he couldn't help but ask. One had to know that the spiritual energy here was already dense, but the spiritual energy in that particular spot was significantly denser than its surroundings, almost 3 times as much as other places. In such a place, even an ordinary person with very average talent could step into the martial master realm. Han Yu said, young lord, that's where I was going to take you, our Soul Clan's cultivation room. A cultivation room, I'd like to take a closer look. Yang Lei secretly knew that the spiritual energy here was so dense, it must not be simple. There must be something hidden within. This is. Entering the cultivation room, Yang Lei's eyes lit up. It was an array formation, a spirit gathering array. That's right, a spirit gathering array was set up here. This spirit gathering array was very crude, but it was enough. The spiritual energy here was already very dense, and with the addition of the spirit gathering array, the spiritual energy in this cultivation room was so abundant. Yang Lei returned to normal. Yang Lei had once thought about exchanging for a spirit gathering array, but unfortunately, there was simply none in the exchange system. The only time a small spirit gathering array appeared was in the gambling system, and then it was gone. He hadn't even won it, which left Yang Lei very frustrated. Now that he saw a genuine spirit gathering array, how could Yang Lei easily let it go? He activated his true eagle eye, not letting go of any detail. It turned out that this spirit gathering array actually used dozens of high-grade spirit stones. A grand gesture. High-grade spirit stones were not easily obtained. It seemed this array formation had consumed a lot of effort. Just these dozens of high-grade spirit stones alone would be enough to support a large family. Chapter 241, Mission, Replacing the Celestial Star Pavilion. 1. The Soul Clan back then was indeed powerful enough. If they weren't powerful enough, it would have been impossible to obtain so many spirit stones, and high-grade spirit stones at that. So that's how a spirit gathering array was laid out. Seeing these things enlightened Yang Lei. He was already interested in array formations, and now Yang Lei had become an intermediate array master. Although the spirit gathering array was a relatively simple one, it brought immense benefits to Yang Lei. Ding! Congratulations to the player for comprehending the elementary spirit gathering array. Hearing the system notification, a smile unconsciously curved on Yang Lei's lips. He had comprehended the spirit gathering array, and the spirit gathering array he comprehended was even better than the one currently laid out. If he were to arrange it, the spiritual energy in this cultivation room could double. The benefits Yang Lei gained were not limited to this. He also had some insights into the small spirit gathering array. Although he couldn't lay it out, he could simplify the spirit gathering array into a mobile array formation. This would be much more convenient. He wouldn't need to lay it out himself, and Xiaozhu and the others could use it freely. Young lord, how is this cultivation room? The cultivation speed here is several times faster than outside, Hanyu said with a hint of pride. Indeed, it's not bad. However, the spiritual energy here can still be increased, Yang Lei said. When I have time, I'll help you arrange it a bit. The spiritual energy here should be able to double. Hanyu's mouth fell open. Young lord was truly extraordinary. He actually possessed such an ability. Hanyu had no doubt that Yang Lei would lead the Soul clan to glory. Recovering his senses, he quickly said, "Thank you, young master, thank you, young master." The spiritual energy in the cultivation room doubling would be even more beneficial to them. This was truly a great favor. No need to thank me. We are all family. Your cultivation improving is also beneficial to me. I will need you a lot in the future, and my enemies are not weak. So you must become stronger. Only when you are strong enough can you work for me, Yang Lei said, waving his hand. Young master, rest assured, we will definitely cultivate diligently and absolutely will not disappoint you, Hanyu said with full confidence. With the upper volume of the soul refining secret art, the entire Soul clan's strength would greatly increase, and their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. Hanyu had only cultivated the soul refining secret art for one night, and his cultivation had already subtly shown signs of breaking through. He estimated that he could break through his current realm in less than 2 days. Immortal Drunk Pavilion. Yang Lei sat in his usual seat. He took a sip of wine, his eyes flashing as he sensed something, but he made no move. Instead, he continued to drink, acting as if nothing had happened. Luring the snake out of its hole. That's right, this move was exactly that. He had been staying home all this time, protected by array formations, so they couldn't find any opportunities and naturally wouldn't make a move. But now that he was out, and without anyone else by his side, the other party would surely be unable to resist making a move, because this was the best opportunity. Indeed, Yang Lei had only been in the Immortal Drunk Pavilion for a few minutes when he sensed something amiss. They were well hidden, but how could they escape Yang Lei's true eagle eye? 10 minutes later, Yang Lei sensed 3 powerful auras. They were all experts, 1 martial saint of great perfection, 1 late-stage martial saint, and 1 early-stage martial saint. These 3 were all assassins from the Celestial Star Pavilion. He hadn't expected the Celestial Star Pavilion to still be persistent, sending out assassins once again. After finishing his wine, Yang Lei found a carriage. The carriage quickly left the city gate. But Yang Lei crushed an invisibility talisman, silently slipped out of the carriage, and then followed behind it. Indeed, the 3 people pursued the carriage, but they didn't know Yang Lei was no longer inside. Kill. The 3 assassins, all platinum ranked, possessed extraordinary methods. Their very first move was a fatal attack. How terrifying was the combined power of 3 platinum-ranked assassins. The roof of the carriage was instantly shattered. But Yang Lei sneered. If they wanted to kill him, they had to be prepared to die. Not good. Not good, there's no one in the carriage. The leading assassin looked inside and cursed inwardly. We were careless. Yang Lei, with the help of the invisibility talisman, slowly approached one person. This person was the closest to him and the weakest in cultivation, which provided Yang Lei with an excellent choice. To deal with this guy, Yang Lei didn't even need to use the Heaven Saber 1 form, he could achieve a one-hit kill. Windblade 7 kills, 5 kills combined. Seizing the opportune moment, Yang Lei's figure erupted. He let out a loud shout and struck out with a saber. Not good, old ninth, watch out, dodge quickly. Yang Lei coldly shouted, want to dodge? It's too late now. Ah. The early-stage martial saint assassin immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire body was sliced in half by Yang Lei, a gruesome sight. Ding, congratulations to the player for killing a martial saint 3rd stage. Obtained 300 million experience points, 3 million true chi points, and 3 million cultivation points. After killing him, Yang Lei immediately consumed a great strength Vajra pill, while also holding a restoring origin pill in his mouth. one of the three was so easily killed. The leading assassin knew something was wrong. If Yang Lei had noticed their ambush yet remained fearless, and even killed Old Knight, it meant he definitely had a backup plan, possibly an ambush prepared, waiting for them to walk into their deaths. So he made a quick decision and said, "Go." Yang Lei coldly snorted. "Want to leave? There's no door, not even a window." Joking aside, Yang Lei had been waiting for them for a long time. Now that they had been exposed, it was impossible for them to easily escape. With a wave of his hand, Baisuzhen appeared before him. Such a strong aura, a martial saint of great perfection? No, it's actually a half-step martial god. "Go, let's leave quickly," the leading assassin shouted. They were all skilled in assassination, but now they were exposed, and the opponent even had a half-step martial god. To continue fighting was clearly a foolish act. Want to leave? How could it be so easy? Earth evasion art. Guiding talisman. Yang Lei watched their escape methods and inwardly cursed, "Not good, too fast, these two have too many tricks up their sleeves." Body fixing talisman, fixate him for me. One of the two must be left behind. Yang Lei could only use one body fixing talisman at a time, so he could only fixate one person. Naturally, he chose the strongest one. Chapter 242, Mission, Replacing the Celestial Star Pavilion. 2. The other one, under the effect of the guiding talisman, immediately disappeared without a trace. However, the martial saint Great Perfection platinum-ranked assassin was naturally miserable. He was fixated, though for an extremely short time, only a mere second. But this 1 second was enough to take a life. Not good. What kind of cursed talisman is this? He realized that his evasion technique had actually failed, and he couldn't help but curse inwardly. Heaven Saber One form. For Yang Lei, this was the best opportunity. He had to achieve a one-hit kill. The long saber in his hand transformed into a dazzling flash of light, immediately striking the imprisoned platinum-ranked assassin's body. Damn it, that saber strike. He knew that his great calamity had arrived. He couldn't move. The power of that saber strike was boundless. If he could move, perhaps he could risk a desperate fight, but the problem was that he couldn't move at all now. This meant he could only wait for death. Yes, wait for death. He hadn't expected that he, a dignified platinum-ranked assassin, would actually fall to a state where he couldn't even retaliate. What a tragedy. He had successfully assassinated hundreds of times, including 37 martial saint Great Perfection experts, and had never been defeated. Even when he faced a martial god earlier, he escaped calmly. Today, dealing with a mere martial emperor realm youngster, he actually lost. His heart was like ashes, and he couldn't help but close his eyes. And Yang Lei's saber strike didn't stop in the slightest. It immediately cut through his neck, and a head flew up, blood gushing like a fountain, splattering everywhere. Ding! Congratulations to the player for killing a martial saint of great perfection. Obtained 900 million experience points, 9 million true chi points, and 9 million cultivation points. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining Earth Evasion Art. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining Chapter of Slaughter. Ding! Congratulations to the player for leveling up, reaching Martial Emperor First Stage. A huge burst. Another huge burst. It had been a long time since he felt so exhilarating. However, as soon as he thought of Baisuzhen's current situation, the joy in Yang Lei's heart immediately vanished. He had successfully killed them, but Yang Lei wasn't too happy. 3 assassins, 3 platinum-ranked assassins, and 1 actually escaped. He had to admit that the Celestial Star Pavilion assassins' escape techniques were first-rate. The one who escaped was named Tianyi, a late-stage martial saint, ranked 5th on the Celestial Star Pavilion assassin rankings. And this martial saint Great Perfection expert he killed was ranked 3rd on the Celestial Star Pavilion assassin rankings. From this, one could see the strength of the Celestial Star Pavilion. A martial saint Great Perfection expert was only ranked 3rd, which meant there were definitely others above him. This implied that the Celestial Star Pavilion had Martial God Realm assassins. If they dispatched Martial God Realm assassins, then things would truly be troublesome. However, Yang Lei didn't believe they would send Martial God experts to deal with him. If they did, he could only escape or seek help from Elder Gu, a Martial God Realm expert, or Yang Yu. Young Master, I'm sorry. Suzhen was useless and let him escape. A late-stage Martial Saint assassin under her watch had escaped, which made Bai Suzhen feel extremely remorseful. This was an assassin who had come to assassinate the young master, and he was only a late-stage Martial Saint, yet she couldn't stop him. Bai Suzhen felt extremely ashamed. She was a Martial Saint of great perfection, and her strength was far greater than ordinary Martial Saint great perfection experts, yet she was actually escaped by a late-stage Martial Saint. This also meant that person would come to trouble the young master again, and might even bring more powerful assassins. If she had captured him, then it would have saved a lot of trouble. Yang Lei shook his head and said, "This isn't your fault. It was my misjudgment. I should have thought that if they were assassins, they would definitely have life-preserving abilities. Next time they come, they won't be so lucky." Yang Lei's eyes emitted a faint cold glint. Repeatedly assassinating him, it seemed the Celestial Star Pavilion needed to be dealt with. However, the Celestial Star Pavilion was difficult to locate, and it had Martial God Realm experts. He couldn't deal with them now. To take on the Celestial Star Pavilion, he had to wait until he had sufficient strength, at least reaching the late Martial Saint stage. Ding, player has triggered a mission, replace the Celestial Star Pavilion. Mission difficulty, A+. Mission reward, determined by mission completion rate. Mission failure penalty, deduction of 2 affiliated systems, level decreased by 3 ranks. Yang Lei was distraught. He had just casually thought about it, and he actually triggered a mission to replace the Celestial Star Pavilion. Moreover, this mission wasn't to completely annihilate the Celestial Star Pavilion, but to replace it. This meant he had to completely take over the Celestial Star Pavilion and at the same time take control of a similar assassin organization. Establishing an assassin organization was not an easy task. He knew nothing about this aspect. So, he could only take one step at a time. For Yang Lei, this could truly be considered a lesson. He had thought he had arranged everything perfectly, without any flaws, but he still miscalculated. He was still not careful enough. If he had set up an array formation beforehand and led them into it, even if they were more powerful, they would have had difficulty escaping. Killing 2 Martial Saints this time allowed Yang Lei's cultivation to step into the Martial Emperor realm, condensing his martial spirit. When his martial spirit was completely solidified, and his martial soul and martial spirit were fully integrated to form a divine soul seed, it would mean breaking through the Martial Emperor realm and entering the Martial Saint level. However, forming a divine soul seed was easier said than done. It was a huge barrier where countless people had been stopped. Yang Lei broke through the Martial Lord realm and entered the Martial Emperor realm. He felt that his mysterious origin art cultivation technique was also on the verge of breaking through, ready to shatter the bottleneck and enter the 10th layer of the mysterious origin art. Taking a deep breath, Yang Lei shifted his attention to the spoils of war. These 2 guys didn't contribute much. Only a cultivation technique for earth evasion art, and a chapter of slaughter. Yang Lei had already learned earth evasion art before, so if this earth evasion art was the same as the one he learned, it would be better to exchange it for other valuable items. However, Yang Lei did hope that this earth evasion art was an upgraded version. If so, he would feel a little better. But after a quick glance, it left Yang Lei helpless. Chapter 243, Yang Qingshui was captured. This earth evasion art was basically no different from the one he had learned before, meaning it was dispensable. He had initially wanted to use it to exchange for cultivation points, but then he remembered the gambling system. This earth evasion art could be considered a top-grade skill. If he used it for gambling, he might as well take a chance. If he won, there would be many benefits. If he lost, it wouldn't be too great a loss for him, since he had already learned this earth evasion art. So, Yang Lei glanced at the earth evasion art and put it away. As for the chapter of slaughter, it piqued Yang Lei's curiosity. Chapter of slaughter, special item, unknown attributes. Unknown attributes. Yang Lei was speechless. What was this thing for? However, it shouldn't be a simple item. Since its attributes were unknown, it meant he didn't have the ability to activate it yet. He wondered what would happen after it was activated. But judging by its name, it must be related to killing, otherwise, why would it be called the chapter of slaughter? Young master, something happened. Yang Lei had just returned to his courtyard when he heard Xia Zhu's urgent voice. Yang Lei sat down and looked at her, saying, "Don't be anxious. Speak slowly. What exactly happened?" Xia Zhu let out a breath and said, "It's like this. Just now, young Miss Gu came here and said that young Miss Qingshui was taken away, and they left a message." Yang Lei's eyes narrowed slightly, and a cold murderous aura instantly erupted. They actually dared to lay hands on someone close to me. They have some guts. What was the message they left? Here, young master, please see for yourself. Xia Zhu handed a piece of paper to Yang Lei. Yang Lei took it and saw that it clearly depicted a black cloud tiger, exuding fierce power. Below it was Yang Lei's name, with a blood-red cross mark through it. And next to it was written the character death. Black cloud tiger, fierce tiger Sima Hu. He finally couldn't resist coming to cause trouble for him. What surprised Yang Lei was that this guy actually warned him that he was going to make a move. How arrogant. He was indeed worthy of being called fierce tiger. Sima Hu's cultivation was merely at the late martial saint stage. Even martial saint of great perfection experts he had killed, although it was a sneak attack, he had truly killed them. Sima Hu, despite being a late-stage martial saint, also had a martial saint-level black cloud tiger, but so what? Not to mention that he now had Bai Suzhen's help, he alone could deal with him. However, Yang Lei used his true eagle eye to scan the surroundings of his courtyard, but found nothing unusual. But Yang Lei dared not underestimate him. This Sima Hu was not a gentleman. He was the type to resort to any unscrupulous means to achieve his goals. Yang Lei also knew that his home was protected by the 9 extremes profound thunder array, so Sima Hu fundamentally had no chance. Therefore, Yang Lei was still at ease regarding the safety of Xia Zhu and the other girls. As long as they were safe, he didn't need to worry. As for Sima Hu, Yang Lei wasn't too worried now. If he hadn't cultivated the Iron Cloth Shirt Volume 3, he might have worried, but now that he had completed the Iron Cloth Shirt Volume 3, his combat strength had greatly increased. If he consumed a great strength Vajra pill and unleashed the Heaven Saber One form, he was absolutely confident in killing Sima Hu. You all don't need to worry about this. However, you can only stay indoors. It would be troublesome if anything happened to you, Yang Lei said to Chunlan. Duan Rong, who was nearby, said, "What's there to be afraid of? I'll help you kill him. He actually dared to threaten my man. He really doesn't want to live." Yang Lei was speechless and found it amusing. Duan Rong's cultivation was not bad, she was also at the martial saint great perfection realm. However, if she really fought Sima Hu, the outcome was truly uncertain. Sima Hu was cunning and unpredictable, martial saint great perfection experts had been killed by him before. He naturally knew that a martial saint great perfection expert had tried to kill him but was killed instead. Therefore, Sima Hu daring to provoke him this time meant that he must have made thorough preparations. Sima Hu was not a simple character. If he were so easy to deal with, he would have died thousands of times already. Over the years, many people had troubled Sima Hu, and among them were not a few martial saint great perfection experts. However, after all these years, Sima Hu was still alive and well. This wasn't just a matter of luck, it was enough to prove Sima Hu's strength. Yang Lei had also investigated Black Tiger Mountain, as it was his great enemy. Yang Lei had even suspected that the bloody 13 Dao's assassination of him must also have some connection with Black Tiger Mountain. Yang Lei faintly felt that a series of these events were being pushed by a mastermind behind the scenes, but who was this mastermind? What exactly did they want to do? Yang Lei had no idea. West of the Qianyuan Kingdom's capital, approximately 30 li away, along a winding small path, this path resembled a large serpent. Lush vegetation grew on both sides. From this, one could tell that the area was sparsely populated and very secluded. If one didn't intentionally seek it out, one would fundamentally not enter such a place. "Young lord, Dagon village is ahead," Hanyu said, pointing forward. Yang Lei nodded slightly, then continued, "This place is very hidden. However, the sparse population here also made it difficult for you all." Upon hearing Yang Lei's words, Han Shan shook his head and said, "Young lord has misunderstood. Actually, we have lived here for generations. Although life here lacks the hustle and bustle of the outside, it is a very beautiful place. I believe young lord will definitely like it. If it weren't for searching for the Soul Pearl's master, that is, young lord, we would fundamentally not wish to step out of Dagon village." Hearing Han Shan's words, Yang Lei became quite curious about this Dagon village. Half an hour later, the three arrived beside a small stream. Opposite the stream, not far away, was a hillside, and the path ended there. "Young lord, we have arrived," Han Shan said. "Arrived?" Yang Lei was initially stunned, but then quickly reacted. This was an array formation, an illusion array. Hanyu's residence also had an array formation, and this was the Soul Clan's main base, so how could it not have an array formation? Activating his true eagle eye, Yang Lei easily saw through the illusions created by this illusion array. It turned out that ahead was not a cliff, but another heavenly realm. It was truly as Han Shan said, inside was indeed a fairyland on earth. "Open the array formation for me." Hanyu stood in front of the cliff, his hands forming various hand seals. These hand seals felt somewhat familiar to Yang Lei. Such an array formation was truly not simple. Although it was also an illusion array, this array formation had already reached the level of a high-grade array formation. In other words, it was an advanced illusion array. Ding, congratulations to the player for comprehending intermediate illusion array. Ding, congratulations to the player for their array formation art level increasing. So he comprehended an intermediate array formation? This made Yang Lei overjoyed. He hadn't expected to casually comprehend an intermediate array formation, transforming from an elementary array master into an intermediate array master. Yang Lei deactivated his true eagle eye, and at this moment, the cliff had disappeared, revealing a wide road. In the distance, a village emerged faintly. It was already midday, and cooking smoke drifted. Chapter 239, Comprehending the Intermediate Array Formation. Looking from afar, what surprised Yang Lei even more was that the layout of this village clearly contained the principles of the 9 palaces and 8 trigrams. The village itself was a huge array formation, but this array formation had not been activated. If this array formation were activated, even a martial god of great perfection, an array master expert proficient in array formations, might not be able to break it. Seeing these things, Yang Lei once again felt a flash of enlightenment in his heart. Although he didn't comprehend anything specific, his state of mind subtly improved. Yang Lei felt that his mysterious origin art, which had not broken through for a long time, now showed signs of breakthrough. He had been at the 9th layer of the mysterious origin art for a long time. He hadn't expected signs of breakthrough now. Once he entered the 10th layer of the mysterious origin art, it would mean that his mysterious origin art had truly made great progress. Yang Lei recovered his senses and heard Hanyu say, "Let's go, young lord. This is our Soul Clan's homeland, Dagon village. Not bad, not bad. The spiritual energy here is much denser than in ordinary places. Cultivating here can achieve twice the results with half the effort," Yang Lei couldn't help but praise. "That's obvious. Back then, our Soul Clan was oppressed by the 4 great ancient clans and all the sections. Our ancestors had long foreseen that this calamity would be difficult to escape, so they found such a place beforehand and set up an illusion array, which allowed the Soul Clan to preserve a portion of its strength. However, it's a pity that our Soul Clan's cultivation techniques were lost midway. Otherwise, our Soul Clan would not have fallen to such a state," Han Shan sighed repeatedly when speaking of this. Yang Lei comforted him, Uncle Shan, there's no need to be like this. In the future, the Soul Clan will rise again and surely regain its former glory. Upon hearing Yang Lei's words, Han Shan and Han Yu's spirits lifted. Of course, I believe young Lord will definitely be able to lead our Soul Clan towards revival, and become even more glorious and powerful than before. Young Clan Head and Uncle Shan are back. At this moment, a young man saw Han Yu and Han Shan and quickly shouted. The young Clan Head is back. The young Clan Head is back. Immediately, the originally quiet village became lively. Everyone in the houses ran out, men, women, old and young alike. Hearing these voices and seeing this scene, Yang Lei couldn't help but nod secretly. It seemed Han Yu held a high position in the Soul Clan and was greatly loved by his clansmen. Everyone's doing well, aren't you? Han Yu greeted everyone with a smile. Good, good, we're all doing well. But when everyone saw Yang Lei, their expressions all changed drastically. An old man with grizzled hair erupted in anger, staring at the two and shouting, Young Clan Head, second brother, who is he? Don't you know the rules of the clan? We are not allowed to bring outsiders here. What if he reveals our secrets here? Then our Soul Clan will be in danger. Uncle Dian, everyone, please don't be anxious. Listen to me first. Han Yu stood at the front, looking at the crowd and saying, the reason I did this is for a good cause. I believe everyone will understand and not blame me. Furthermore, you will all be very happy, because this is an extremely great good thing, a major good thing related to the rise and fall of our Soul Clan. What's very happy? He's an outsider. Now an outsider has entered our Dagon village. What good thing could there be? It's good enough if it's not a bad thing. If you, young clan head, don't give us a satisfactory reason, even if he is your friend, we will not easily forgive him. We will not let him leave this place. Since he is your friend, young clan head, we won't make things too difficult for him, he just needs to stay here, Han Dian said. Hearing Han Dian's words, Han Shan looked at Yang Lei with some worry, fearing he might be displeased. But Yang Lei merely smiled lightly and didn't mind. As for what Han Dian said, Yang Lei truly didn't take it to heart. Although the array formation in Dagon village was powerful, if he wanted to break it, it wasn't impossible. Moreover, if it came to a fight, all the people in Dagon village combined couldn't keep him. Even if they had martial gods, let alone the fact that they didn't have any martial gods, not even martial saint great perfection experts. To say they wanted to keep him was simply absurd. However, if it were other people, even martial god realm experts would be trapped here, because Yang Lei discovered that upon entering the interior of Dagon village, there was also a hidden array formation. This array formation was even higher grade. If activated, it could trap martial god realm experts. But Yang Lei also knew very well that activating this hidden array formation would come at a significant cost. Yang Lei suspected that this array formation required human lives as its price. However, the power of this array formation was formidable. The only way he could break it was to use instant travel, thereby tearing open space to escape. I presume everyone still remembers the prophecy of our Soul Clan? Han Yu asked. Prophecy? Could it be? Could he be the person in that prophecy? Han Dian was trembling all over from excitement upon hearing this. Is this really true? Everyone also erupted. This news was so shocking. If the outsider before them was truly the person in the prophecy, then the Soul Clan would no longer need to hide and conceal themselves. They would no longer need to suffer such grievances. The time for the Soul Clan's revival had arrived. This was something that all the Soul Clan members had long awaited. After all, though Dagon village was good and beautiful, it was ultimately too small. It restricted the entire Soul Clan. If things continued like this, the entire Soul Clan would truly fade away, and this was not what Han Dian wanted to see. Of course it's true, Han Yu said. I have no need to lie. Then Han Yu softly said to Yang Lei, Young Lord, please trouble yourself to summon the Soul Pearl, so everyone can confirm it. Chapter 240, Comprehending the Spirit Gathering Array. Yang Lei nodded slightly, but it was also a bit difficult now. Yang Lei knew very well that although the Soul Pearl and the Illusory Annihilation Pearl were in his body and had acknowledged him as their master, currently, they were at odds, equal in status. It was difficult, extremely difficult, for Yang Lei to command them. But even so, he had to try. Otherwise, he would look like a swindler. Soul Pearl. Yang Lei focused his thoughts and began to command the Soul Pearl. No response? Once, twice, still no response. Yang Lei was a bit annoyed. It was in his body, it had acknowledged him as its master, yet it still wouldn't obey him. It had become a demanding master itself. Come out! Yang Lei roared in his heart. What's happening? Could it be that the Soul Pearl has a problem and cannot be summoned? At this moment, Han Yu's forehead was also sweating. Although he and Han Shan had personally witnessed the Soul Pearl acknowledge its master, if they couldn't let everyone see clearly and confirm the truth of the matter, it would be a bit awkward. After all, this was a major event, not something that could be simply stated. Even if he was the clan head and Uncle Shan held a very high position in the clan, they couldn't possibly make everyone easily believe this matter. Just as Yang Lei's face was flushed, the Soul Pearl finally reacted. It slowly accepted Yang Lei's control and gradually flew out from between Yang Lei's eyebrows. It emitted a faint purple glow. Soul Pearl, it's really the Soul Pearl. Heaven's blessing. Ancestors' blessing. Our Soul Clan has finally waited for this day. Everyone knelt down one after another. Seeing this situation, Yang Lei was somewhat dumbfounded. He hadn't expected them all to kneel down, not even Han Yu and Han Shan were exceptions. At this moment, the Soul Pearl hovered in front, its light growing stronger. These rays of light seemed sentient, enveloping all the members of the Soul Clan. Yang Lei clearly sensed that some kind of energy was emerging from within the Soul Pearl. This energy was channeled into the bodies of the Soul Clan members through the purple light. It caused some kind of change in their bodies. Those who had cultivated martial souls gradually solidified them, and those who hadn't, their soul force was gradually strengthening. Their physiques, under the purple light, underwent wondrous changes. Their physiques strengthened, and their bones experienced great transformations, making Yang Lei very envious. He was the master of the Soul Pearl, so why didn't he see the Soul Pearl change his physique? 1 minute passed. 2 minutes passed. 5 minutes later, the Soul Pearl's light gradually weakened, then finally disappeared. Afterward, the Soul Pearl transformed into a purple streak and once again entered Yang Lei's glabella. Everyone then recovered their senses. Young Master! Young Master! Over 100 people shouted in unison towards Yang Lei, their voices extremely loud. You all, please get up first. So many people kneeling before him made Yang Lei feel a chill run down his spine, as if he were a dead person and they were offering sacrifices to him. Everyone heard this and then said in unison, Thank you, young master. Only then did they stand up. You all don't need to call me young master. Just call me young lord, that's fine, Yang Lei said, waving his hand. Yes, young lord. Han Yu walked over to Yang Lei, introducing everyone one by one. The members of the Soul Clan were truly too few, seemingly on the verge of fading away. But Yang Lei's appearance made the Soul Clan members see hope, see the future. Therefore, they were absolutely loyal to Yang Lei. Yang Lei checked the system and found that their loyalty levels had all reached over 90, and Han Yu and Han Shan had actually reached 95. Yang Lei couldn't help but sigh. This is the power of faith, ah. Young lord, shall I show you around? After the introductions, Han Yu asked. Yang Lei nodded slightly. The Soul Clan village was not large, but also not small. It had everything one could need, especially medicinal herbs, which were far more abundant than outside. Even rare spirit herbs that were hard to find outside were plentiful. What astonished Yang Lei was that there were actually purple paste fruits here. Purple paste fruits were currently scarce for Yang Lei. With these purple paste fruits, his pill refining success rate would greatly increase. Not only purple paste fruits, but there was also another type of medicinal ingredient that greatly excited Yang Lei, crouching dragon drunk. Yang Lei remembered that crouching dragon drunk was the main ingredient for crafting drunk life dream death wine. Furthermore, this crouching dragon drunk could not only be used to refine drunk life dream death wine but also a very potent anesthetic that could silently incapacitate people. Even martial god great perfection experts couldn't escape it. However, the difficulty of refining this anesthetic was too great, and Yang Lei didn't have that ability yet. What kind of place is that? Yang Lei noticed that the spiritual energy ahead was much richer than in other places, so he couldn't help but ask. One had to know that the spiritual energy here was already dense, but the spiritual energy in that particular spot was significantly denser than its surroundings, almost 3 times as much as other places. In such a place, even an ordinary person with very average talent could step into the martial master realm. Hanyu said, "Young lord, that's where I was going to take you, our Soul Clan's cultivation room." "A cultivation room, I'd like to take a closer look." Yang Lei secretly knew that the spiritual energy here was so dense, it must not be simple. There must be something hidden within. This is... Entering the cultivation room, Yang Lei's eyes lit up. It was an array formation, a spirit gathering array. That's right, a spirit gathering array was set up here. This spirit gathering array was very crude, but it was enough. The spiritual energy here was already very dense, and with the addition of the spirit gathering array, the spiritual energy in this cultivation room was so abundant. Yang Lei returned to normal. Yang Lei had once thought about exchanging for a spirit gathering array, but unfortunately, there was simply none in the exchange system. The only time a small spirit gathering array appeared was in the gambling system, and then it was gone. He hadn't even won it, which left Yang Lei very frustrated. Now that he saw a genuine spirit gathering array, how could Yang Lei easily let it go? He activated his true eagle eye, not letting go of any detail. It turned out that this spirit gathering array actually used dozens of high-grade spirit stones. A grand gesture. High-grade spirit stones were not easily obtained. It seemed this array formation had consumed a lot of effort. Just these dozens of high-grade spirit stones alone would be enough to support a large family. Chapter 241, Mission, Replacing the Celestial Star Pavilion. 1. The Soul Clan back then was indeed powerful enough. If they weren't powerful enough, it would have been impossible to obtain so many spirit stones, and high-grade spirit stones at that. So that's how a spirit gathering array was laid out. Seeing these things enlightened Yang Lei. He was already interested in array formations, and now Yang Lei had become an intermediate array master. Although the spirit gathering array was a relatively simple one, it brought immense benefits to Yang Lei. Ding! Congratulations to the player for comprehending the elementary spirit gathering array. Hearing the system notification, a smile unconsciously curved on Yang Lei's lips. He had comprehended the spirit gathering array, and the spirit gathering array he comprehended was even better than the one currently laid out. If he were to arrange it, the spiritual energy in this cultivation room could double. The benefits Yang Lei gained were not limited to this. He also had some insights into the small spirit gathering array. Although he couldn't lay it out, he could simplify the spirit gathering array into a mobile array formation. This would be much more convenient. He wouldn't need to lay it out himself, and Xiaozhu and the others could use it freely. Young lord, how is this cultivation room? The cultivation speed here is several times faster than outside, Hanyu said with a hint of pride. Indeed, it's not bad. However, the spiritual energy here can still be increased, Yang Lei said. When I have time, I'll help you arrange it a bit. The spiritual energy here should be able to double. Hanyu's mouth fell open. Young lord was truly extraordinary. He actually possessed such an ability. Hanyu had no doubt that Yang Lei would lead the Soul Clan to glory. Recovering his senses, he quickly said, "Thank you, young master, thank you, young master." The spiritual energy in the cultivation room doubling would be even more beneficial to them. This was truly a great favor. No need to thank me. We are all family. Your cultivation improving is also beneficial to me. I will need you a lot in the future, and my enemies are not weak. So you must become stronger. Only when you are strong enough can you work for me, Yang Lei said, waving his hand. Young master, rest assured, we will definitely cultivate diligently and absolutely will not disappoint you, Han Yu said with full confidence. With the upper volume of the soul refining secret art, the entire Soul clan's strength would greatly increase, and their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. Han Yu had only cultivated the soul refining secret art for one night, and his cultivation had already subtly shown signs of breaking through. He estimated that he could break through his current realm in less than 2 days. Immortal Drunk Pavilion. Yang Lei sat in his usual seat. He took a sip of wine, his eyes flashing as he sensed something, but he made no move. Instead, he continued to drink, acting as if nothing had happened. Luring the snake out of its hole. That's right, this move was exactly that. He had been staying home all this time, protected by array formations, so they couldn't find any opportunities and naturally wouldn't make a move. But now that he was out, and without anyone else by his side, the other party would surely be unable to resist making a move, because this was the best opportunity. Indeed, Yang Lei had only been in the Immortal Drunk Pavilion for a few minutes when he sensed something amiss. They were well hidden, but how could they escape Yang Lei's true eagle eye? 10 minutes later, Yang Lei sensed 3 powerful auras. They were all experts, 1 martial saint of great perfection, 1 late-stage martial saint, and 1 early-stage martial saint. These 3 were all assassins from the Celestial Star Pavilion. He hadn't expected the Celestial Star Pavilion to still be persistent, sending out assassins once again. After finishing his wine, Yang Lei found a carriage. The carriage quickly left the city gate. But Yang Lei crushed an invisibility talisman, silently slipped out of the carriage, and then followed behind it. Indeed, the 3 people pursued the carriage, but they didn't know Yang Lei was no longer inside. Kill. The 3 assassins, all platinum ranked, possessed extraordinary methods. Their very first move was a fatal attack. How terrifying was the combined power of 3 platinum-ranked assassins. The roof of the carriage was instantly shattered. But Yang Lei sneered. If they wanted to kill him, they had to be prepared to die. Not good. Not good, there's no one in the carriage. The leading assassin looked inside and cursed inwardly. We were careless. Yang Lei, with the help of the invisibility talisman, slowly approached one person. This person was the closest to him and the weakest in cultivation, which provided Yang Lei with an excellent choice. To deal with this guy, Yang Lei didn't even need to use the Heaven Saber 1 form, he could achieve a one-hit kill. Windblade 7 kills, 5 kills combined. Seizing the opportune moment, Yang Lei's figure erupted. He let out a loud shout and struck out with a saber. Not good, old ninth, watch out, dodge quickly. Yang Lei coldly shouted, want to dodge? It's too late now. Ah. The early-stage martial saint assassin immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire body was sliced in half by Yang Lei, a gruesome sight. Ding, congratulations to the player for killing a martial saint 3rd stage. Obtained 300 million experience points, 3 million true chi points, and 3 million cultivation points. After killing him, Yang Lei immediately consumed a great strength Vajra pill, while also holding a restoring origin pill in his mouth. One of the 3 was so easily killed. The leading assassin knew something was wrong. If Yang Lei had noticed their ambush yet remained fearless, and even killed Old Ninth, it meant he definitely had a backup plan, possibly an ambush prepared, waiting for them to walk into their deaths. So he made a quick decision and said, go. Yang Lei coldly snorted. Want to leave? There's no door, not even a window. Joking aside, Yang Lei had been waiting for them for a long time. Now that they had been exposed, it was impossible for them to easily escape. With a wave of his hand, Bai Suzhen appeared before him. Such a strong aura, a martial saint of great perfection? No, it's actually a half-step martial god. Go, let's leave quickly, the leading assassin shouted. They were all skilled in assassination, but now they were exposed, and the opponent even had a half-step martial god. To continue fighting was clearly a foolish act. Want to leave? How could it be so easy? Earth evasion art. Guiding talisman. Yang Lei watched their escape methods and inwardly cursed, not good, too fast, these two have too many tricks up their sleeves. Body fixing talisman, fixate him for me. One of the two must be left behind. Yang Lei could only use one body fixing talisman at a time, so he could only fixate one person. Naturally, he chose the strongest one. Chapter 242, Mission, Replacing the Celestial Star Pavilion. 2. The other one, under the effect of the guiding talisman, immediately disappeared without a trace. However, the Martial Saint Great Perfection Platinum-ranked assassin was naturally miserable. He was fixated, though for an extremely short time, only a mere second. But this 1 second was enough to take a life. Not good. What kind of cursed talisman is this? He realized that his evasion technique had actually failed, and he couldn't help but curse inwardly. Heaven Saber One form. For Yang Lei, this was the best opportunity. He had to achieve a one-hit kill. The long saber in his hand transformed into a dazzling flash of light, immediately striking the imprisoned platinum-ranked assassin's body. Damn. That saber strike. He knew that his great calamity had arrived. He couldn't move. The power of that saber strike was boundless. If he could move, perhaps he could risk a desperate fight, but the problem was that he couldn't move at all now. This meant he could only wait for death. Yes, wait for death. He hadn't expected that he, a dignified platinum-ranked assassin, would actually fall to a state where he couldn't even retaliate. What a tragedy. He had successfully assassinated hundreds of times, including 37, Martial Saint Great Perfection experts, and had never been defeated. Even when he faced a martial god earlier, he escaped calmly. Today, dealing with a mere martial emperor realm youngster, he actually lost. His heart was like ashes, and he couldn't help but close his eyes. And Yang Lei's saber strike didn't stop in the slightest. It immediately cut through his neck, and a head flew up, blood gushing like a fountain, splattering everywhere. Ding! Congratulations to the player for killing a martial saint of great perfection. Obtained 900 million experience points, 9 million true chi points, and 9 million cultivation points. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining Earth Evasion art. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining Chapter of Slaughter. Ding! Congratulations to the player for leveling up, reaching Martial Emperor first stage. A huge burst. Another huge burst. It had been a long time since he felt so exhilarating. However, as soon as he thought of Bai Suzhen's current situation, the joy in Yang Lei's heart immediately vanished. He had successfully killed them, but Yang Lei wasn't too happy. 3 assassins, 3 platinum-ranked assassins, and 1 actually escaped. He had to admit that the Celestial Star Pavilion assassins' escape techniques were first-rate. The one who escaped was named Tianyi, a late-stage martial saint, ranked 5th on the Celestial Star Pavilion assassin rankings. And this Martial Saint Great Perfection expert he killed was ranked 3rd on the Celestial Star Pavilion assassin rankings. From this, one could see the strength of the Celestial Star Pavilion. A Martial Saint Great Perfection expert was only ranked 3rd, which meant there were definitely others above him. This implied that the Celestial Star Pavilion had Martial God Realm assassins. If they dispatched Martial God Realm assassins, then things would truly be troublesome. However, Yang Lei didn't believe they would send Martial God experts to deal with him. If they did, he could only escape or seek help from Elder Gu, a Martial God Realm expert, or Yang Yu. Young Master, I'm sorry. Suzhen was useless and let him escape. A late-stage martial saint assassin under her watch had escaped, which made Bai Suzhen feel extremely remorseful. This was an assassin who had come to assassinate the young master, and he was only a late-stage martial saint, yet she couldn't stop him. Bai Suzhen felt extremely ashamed. She was a martial saint of great perfection, and her strength was far greater than ordinary martial saint great perfection experts, Yet she was actually escaped by a late-stage martial saint. This also meant that person would come to trouble the young master again, and might even bring more powerful assassins. If she had captured him, then it would have saved a lot of trouble. Yang Lei shook his head and said, "This isn't your fault. It was my misjudgment. I should have thought that if they were assassins, they would definitely have life-preserving abilities. Next time they come, they won't be so lucky." Yang Lei's eyes emitted a faint cold glint. Repeatedly assassinating him, it seemed the Celestial Star Pavilion needed to be dealt with. However, the Celestial Star Pavilion was difficult to locate, and it had martial god realm experts. He couldn't deal with them now. To take on the Celestial Star Pavilion, he had to wait until he had sufficient strength, at least reaching the late martial saint stage. Ding, player has triggered a mission, replace the Celestial Star Pavilion. Mission difficulty: A+. Mission reward, determined by mission completion rate. Mission failure penalty, deduction of 2 affiliated systems, level decreased by 3 ranks. Yang Lei was distraught. He had just casually thought about it, and he actually triggered a mission to replace the Celestial Star Pavilion. Moreover, this mission wasn't to completely annihilate the Celestial Star Pavilion, but to replace it. This meant he had to completely take over the Celestial Star Pavilion and at the same time take control of a similar assassin organization. Establishing an assassin organization was not an easy task. He knew nothing about this aspect. So, he could only take one step at a time. For Yang Lei, this could truly be considered a lesson. He had thought he had arranged everything perfectly, without any flaws, but he still miscalculated. He was still not careful enough. If he had set up an array formation beforehand and led them into it, even if they were more powerful, they would have had difficulty escaping. Killing 2 martial saints this time allowed Yang Lei's cultivation to step into the martial emperor realm, condensing his martial spirit. When his martial spirit was completely solidified, and his martial soul and martial spirit were fully integrated to form a divine soul seed, it would mean breaking through the martial emperor realm and entering the martial saint level. However, forming a divine soul seed was easier said than done. It was a huge barrier where countless people had been stopped. Yang Lei broke through the martial lord realm and entered the martial emperor realm. He felt that his mysterious origin art cultivation technique was also on the verge of breaking through, ready to shatter the bottleneck and enter the 10th layer of the mysterious origin art. Taking a deep breath, Yang Lei shifted his attention to the spoils of war. These 2 guys didn't contribute much. Only a cultivation technique for earth evasion art, and a chapter of slaughter. Yang Lei had already learned earth evasion art before, so if this earth evasion art was the same as the one he learned, it would be better to exchange it for other valuable items. However, Yang Lei did hope that this earth evasion art was an upgraded version. If so, he would feel a little better. But after a quick glance, it left Yang Lei helpless. Chapter 243, Yang Qingshui was captured. This earth evasion art was basically no different from the one he had learned before, meaning it was dispensable. He had initially wanted to use it to exchange for cultivation points, but then he remembered the gambling system. This earth evasion art could be considered a top-grade skill. If he used it for gambling, he might as well take a chance. If he won, there would be many benefits. If he lost, it wouldn't be too great a loss for him, since he had already learned this earth evasion art. So, Yang Lei glanced at the earth evasion art and put it away. As for the chapter of slaughter, it piqued Yang Lei's curiosity. Chapter of slaughter, special item, unknown attributes. Unknown attributes. Yang Lei was speechless. What was this thing for? However, it shouldn't be a simple item. Since its attributes were unknown, it meant he didn't have the ability to activate it yet. He wondered what would happen after it was activated. But judging by its name, it must be related to killing, otherwise, why would it be called the chapter of slaughter? Young master, something happened. Yang Lei had just returned to his courtyard when he heard Xia Zhu's urgent voice. Yang Lei sat down and looked at her, saying, "Don't be anxious. Speak slowly. What exactly happened?" Xiaozhu let out a breath and said, "It's like this. Just now, young Miss Gu came here and said that young Miss Qingshui was taken away, and they left a message." Yang Lei's eyes narrowed slightly, and a cold murderous aura instantly erupted. They actually dared to lay hands on someone close to me. They have some guts. What was the message they left? Here, young master, please see for yourself. Xiaozhu handed a piece of paper to Yang Lei. Yang Lei took it and saw that it clearly depicted a black cloud tiger, exuding fierce power. Below it was Yang Lei's name, with a blood-red cross mark through it. And next to it was written the character death. Black cloud tiger, fierce tiger Sima Hu. He finally couldn't resist coming to cause trouble for him. What surprised Yang Lei was that this guy actually warned him that he was going to make a move. How arrogant. He was indeed worthy of being called fierce tiger. Sima Hu's cultivation was merely at the late martial saint stage. Even martial saint of great perfection experts he had killed, although it was a sneak attack, he had truly killed them. Sima Hu, despite being a late-stage martial saint, also had a martial saint level black cloud tiger, but so what? Not to mention that he now had Bai Suzhen's help, he alone could deal with him. However, Yang Lei used his true eagle eye to scan the surroundings of his courtyard, but found nothing unusual. But Yang Lei dared not underestimate him. This Sima Hu was not a gentleman. He was the type to resort to any unscrupulous means to achieve his goals. Yang Lei also knew that his home was protected by the 9 extremes profound thunder array, so Sima Hu fundamentally had no chance. Therefore, Yang Lei was still at ease regarding the safety of Xiaozhu and the other girls. As long as they were safe, he didn't need to worry. As for Sima Hu, Yang Lei wasn't too worried now. If he hadn't cultivated the Iron Cloth Shirt Volume 3, he might have worried, but now that he had completed the Iron Cloth Shirt Volume 3, his combat strength had greatly increased. If he consumed a great strength Vajra pill and unleashed the Heaven Saber One form, he was absolutely confident in killing Sima Hu. You all don't need to worry about this. However, you can only stay indoors. It would be troublesome if anything happened to you, Yang Lei said to Chunlan. Duan Rong, who was nearby, said, "What's there to be afraid of? I'll help you kill him. He actually dared to threaten my man. He really doesn't want to live." Yang Lei was speechless and found it amusing. Duan Rong's cultivation was not bad, she was also at the martial saint great perfection realm. However, if she really fought Sima Hu, the outcome was truly uncertain. Sima Hu was cunning and unpredictable, martial saint great perfection experts had been killed by him before. He naturally knew that a martial saint great perfection expert had tried to kill him but was killed instead. Therefore, Sima Hu daring to provoke him this time meant that he must have made thorough preparations. Sima Hu was not a simple character. If he were so easy to deal with, he would have died thousands of times already. Over the years, many people had troubled Sima Hu, and among them were not a few martial saint great perfection experts. However, after all these years, Sima Hu was still alive and well. This wasn't just a matter of luck, it was enough to prove Sima Hu's strength. Yang Lei had also investigated Black Tiger Mountain, as it was his great enemy. Yang Lei had even suspected that the bloody 13 Dao's assassination of him must also have some connection with Black Tiger Mountain. Yang Lei faintly felt that a series of these events were being pushed by a mastermind behind the scenes, but who was this mastermind? What exactly did they want to do? Yang Lei had no idea. West of the Qianyuan Kingdom's capital, approximately 30 li away, along a winding small path, this path resembled a large serpent. Lush vegetation grew on both sides. From this, one could tell that the area was sparsely populated and very secluded. If one didn't intentionally seek it out, one would fundamentally not enter such a place. "Young Lord, Dagon village is ahead," Hunyu said, pointing forward. Yang Lei nodded slightly, then continued, "This place is very hidden. However, the sparse population here also made it difficult for you all." Upon hearing Yang Lei's words, Hun Shan shook his head and said, "Young Lord has misunderstood. Actually, we have lived here for generations. Although life here lacks the hustle and bustle of the outside, it is a very beautiful place. I believe young Lord will definitely like it. If it weren't for searching for the Soul Pearl's master, that is, young Lord, we would fundamentally not wish to step out of Dagon village. Hearing Hun Shan's words, Yang Lei became quite curious about this Dagon village. Half an hour later, the three arrived beside a small stream. Opposite the stream, not far away, was a hillside, and the path ended there. Young Lord, we have arrived, Hun Shan said. Arrived? Yang Lei was initially stunned, but then quickly reacted. This was an array formation, an illusion array. Hun Yu's residence also had an array formation, and this was the Soul Clan's main base, so how could it not have an array formation? Activating his true eagle eye, Yang Lei easily saw through the illusions created by this illusion array. It turned out that ahead was not a cliff, but another heavenly realm. It was truly as Hun Shan said, inside was indeed a fairyland on earth. Open the array formation for me. Hun Yu stood in front of the cliff, his hands forming various hand seals. These hand seals felt somewhat familiar to Yang Lei. Such an array formation was truly not simple. Although it was also an illusion array, this array formation had already reached the level of a high-grade array formation. In other words, it was an advanced illusion array. Ding, congratulations to the player for comprehending intermediate illusion array. Ding, congratulations to the player for their array formation art level increasing. So he comprehended an intermediate array formation? This made Yang Lei overjoyed. He hadn't expected to casually comprehend an intermediate array formation, transforming from an elementary array master into an intermediate array master. Yang Lei deactivated his true eagle eye, and at this moment, the cliff had disappeared, revealing a wide road. In the distance, a village emerged faintly. It was already midday, and cooking smoke drifted. Chapter 244, Shura Hall. 1. Although Black Tiger Mountain was powerful, it was not worth mentioning to the Profound Mechanism sect. The Profound Mechanism sect wanted to eliminate Black Tiger Mountain in an instant. Sima who dared to do this, there must be a reason. Was his backing so strong that he didn't fear the Profound Mechanism sect, or was it for another reason? Could it be that Yang Tianfeng was his illegitimate son? Thinking of this, Yang Lei was shocked. This fierce tiger Sima who indeed had no wife or children, but he had many disciples. However, he paid special attention to Yang Tianfeng. Could Yang Tianfeng truly be his illegitimate son? Otherwise, why would he be so entangled after Yang Lei killed Yang Tianfeng? Thinking carefully, this was not impossible. However, Sima who was full of ambition. Even if Yang Tianfeng was his son, he wouldn't dare to contend with a sect like the Profound Mechanism sect. So Sima who must have a backer. Did Elder Gu find where Qing Shui was captured? Yang Lei asked. Elder Gu shook his head. Not yet, but I believe we will have results very soon. If she really isn't found, then I'll just have to go to Crouching Ox Mountain alone tomorrow, Yang Lei said. No, that's absolutely not allowed. Elder Gu, Elder Channy, and Gu Jing all spoke simultaneously. That's truly too dangerous. You absolutely cannot go alone. Sima who is so arrogant, he must have a backer. And your cultivation, little Lei, is too weak. That's right, this is clearly their scheme. Their main goal is to deal with you. If you go alone, won't you just be delivering yourself to their doorstep? Gu Jing said. Yang Lei also knew this, but it was the only way. Sima who was too cunning, he couldn't find Yang Qingshui's whereabouts at all. Otherwise, Yang Lei would have already made a move. If not, Qingshui will be in danger, Yang Lei said, looking at everyone. Moreover, everyone doesn't need to worry. I still have confidence. As long as Yang Qingshui is safe, they fundamentally can't capture me. Elder Gu wasn't sure where Yang Lei's confidence came from, but he still said, Little Lei, this isn't the time to be brave. If we stall for a bit, we might still be able to find Qingshui. I believe they won't dare to truly do anything to Qingshui. Our Profound Mechanism sect still has that much deterrent force. Yang Lei smiled and said, Elder Gu, you don't need to worry. I have my own plans. Elder Gu, Elder Channy, there's a breakthrough. At this moment, someone knocked on the door and entered, saying, Good, good, that's excellent. Elder Gu said happily. Speak, where exactly did they hide my granddaughter? Right in Prince Ching's mansion. Prince Ching's mansion? I didn't expect it, truly didn't expect it. They actually dared to disregard us like this. Elder Gu sighed. This Prince Ching's mansion was just one street away from the profound mechanism pavilion. He hadn't expected the other parties scheming to be so profound. The most dangerous place was the safest place, this point was utilized to its extreme. If it weren't for being in Prince Ching's mansion, they would have probably found her long ago. Since she's been found, we'll make our move now. A cold glint flashed in Yang Lei's eyes. They actually dared to threaten him and lay hands on his friend. It was truly unforgivable. Good, no time to lose, Grandpa. Let's act. Gu Jing said. Should we first investigate the situation before acting? Elder Tanny asked. No, act immediately. Before Elder Gu could speak, Yang Lei interjected. Let's take advantage of the fact that they don't know we've found Yang Qingshui's hiding place and catch them off guard. Little Lei is right, we'll act immediately, Elder Gu nodded. However, Jinger, you shouldn't go. Channy and Little Lei are enough. No, I want to go too. Why can't I go? I can also help. Gu Jing was immediately displeased when she heard she wasn't allowed to go and stay at the Profound Mechanism Pavilion alone. No, if I say you can't go, you can't go. Elder Gu glared. Why? Gu Jing pouted. Your cultivation is too weak. What if something happens? Then what? Elder Gu said. Yang Lei's cultivation isn't much stronger than mine, so why can he go? Gu Jing's fair, slender finger pointed at Yang Lei. At this moment, Elder Gu said, Jinger, you still don't know that Little Lei's current cultivation far surpasses yours. How can that be? It's only been a few days. Even if his talent is high, he can't possibly surpass me so much in such a short time, can he? Gu Jing completely refused to believe it. If you don't believe me, you can ask Little Lei yourself. Elder Gu was also startled when he first saw Yang Lei enter. He hadn't expected that after only a few days, he had actually broken through the Martial Lord realm and entered the Martial Emperor realm. Such cultivation speed was too astonishing. Even those true disciples, with the sex nurturing, didn't have such fast cultivation speed. A 16-year-old Martial Emperor, what kind of concept was that? This was a true genius, with boundless potential. If Yang Lei hadn't already been taken as a disciple by Zhang Yi, Elder Gu would truly have wanted to take Yang Lei as his disciple. Previously, Elder Gu had always been unwilling, wondering why he hadn't met Yang Lei earlier. If he had, he would have had an outstanding disciple. Having such a supremely talented disciple was also an extremely glorious thing. Yang Lei, you, to what extent has your cultivation reached now? Why can't I see it at all? Hearing Elder Gu's words, Gu Jing asked Yang Lei. Yang Lei smiled. Elder Gu had already seen his cultivation, so there was no need to hide it. He released his Martial Emperor realm aura. How can this be? Martial Emperor? Little Lei, you've reached the Martial Emperor realm? Gu Jing looked at Yang Lei as if he were a monster. A few days ago, your cultivation was only at the Martial Lord 5th stage. How did you reach the Martial Emperor realm in such a short time? Am I having hallucinations? Gu Jing rubbed her eyes. Jinger, this is not an illusion. Little Lei has indeed reached the Martial Emperor realm, Elder Gu said. Little Lei, how did you cultivate? Can you tell me? Gu Jing grabbed Yang Lei's hand and asked. Chapter 245, Shura Hall. 2. Yang Lei could only smile wryly at Gu Jing's actions. He had long expected such a result. He said helplessly, Gu Jing, let's not rush this matter now. Let's talk after we rescue Qingshui. Right, rescuing Sister Qingshui is more important first. Gu Jing let go of his hand awkwardly. She had been too excited and forgotten this matter, her face flushing red. A few minutes later, Yang Lei, Elder Tianyi, and Elder Gu infiltrated Prince Qing's mansion. Prince Qing's residential compound was very large, several times larger than Yang Lei's courtyard, almost 20 times the size of Yang Lei's tranquil star residence. Yang Lei's courtyard wasn't small, but this Prince Qing's mansion was clearly more than 20 times larger, showing how immense Prince Qing's mansion was, practically a small imperial palace. Prince Qing, Qian Qingyun, was the current emperor of the Qianyuan kingdom's elder brother. He could be said to have brilliant military achievements and was incredibly influential throughout the entire Qianyuan kingdom, with extremely high prestige. He had also gathered many experts, and his own cultivation was extremely formidable, a martial saint great perfection expert. He hadn't expected to actually conspire with Sima Hu of Black Tiger Mountain. Black Tiger Mountain had developed extremely rapidly, suggesting it had received considerable help from Qian Qingyun. Yang Lei even suspected that Black Tiger Mountain was fundamentally controlled by Prince Qing. The three entered the prince's mansion and separated to search. After finding her, they would signal with a communication talisman. Yang Lei went left, Elder Gu went central, and Elder Tianyi went right. Under Yang Lei's true eagle eye, the entire layout of Prince Qing's mansion was laid bare before him. Soon, Yang Lei discovered something unusual, a group of powerful black-cloaked figures, led by a man accompanied by a black killer tiger. Yang Lei remembered that Yang Tianfeng once had such a black killer tiger, but this black killer tiger was much more powerful than Yang Tianfeng's earlier one, having reached the 8th level demonic beast stage. This person was clearly not Sima Hu, but his status in Black Tiger Mountain must not be low, otherwise, he wouldn't have an 8th level black killer tiger. One appraisal art later. Sima Meng, Sima Hu's disciple, martial emperor great perfection cultivation, highly trusted by Sima Hu. It's them, Yang Lei's eyes flashed, and he used his stealth art to silently follow. He followed those people to a palace, which was beside the main hall of Prince Qing's mansion. After waiting for them to enter, Yang Lei leaped onto the roof, silently lifting a tile. Yang Lei was extremely cautious, so they didn't discover him. Martial uncle. Sima Meng said to a man wearing a golden robe. Martial uncle? So this person should be Prince Qing. Yang Lei activated his appraisal art. The person's information immediately appeared in Yang Lei's mind. Prince Qing, Qian Qingyun, martial saint great perfection cultivation, inherited from Shura Hall. Shura Hall. Yang Lei's mind found no information about Shura Hall, nor had he ever heard of it. What kind of sect was the Shura Hall? Its strength didn't seem low. And Sima Meng actually called Prince Qing martial uncle. Didn't that mean Sima Hu and Prince Qing were martial brothers, and Sima Hu was also from Shura Hall? If so, then Black Tiger Mountain was a force of Shura Hall. And this Shura Hall surprisingly had no information whatsoever. Such a powerful organization, a powerful sect, yet there was no information about it. This Shura Hall must definitely not be simple. I heard that woman is quite beautiful, a beauty? Sima Meng asked. Qian Qingyun smiled and said, indeed, that woman is quite beautiful, and still a virgin. How about it, junior nephew, are you interested in her? This Prince Qing was not a lecherous person. His energy was all placed on martial arts and state affairs, and he didn't care much for female beauty. If Qian Qingyun had been like other royal disciples, indulging in wine and women, he wouldn't have achieved what he had today. Before Sima Meng could speak, Qian Qingyun added, but you still can't touch her for now. Senior brother once said that until Yang Lei is captured, no one can touch Yang Qingshui, otherwise, it's a death sentence, no matter the crime. Isn't it just a woman? Why be so careful? Sima Meng was not like Qian Qingyun, he was a lecherous fellow who valued women as much as his life. When he heard that Yang Qingshui was a great beauty, his heart itched. He had originally wanted to pluck this delicate flower for his enjoyment, but he hadn't expected his master to issue such an order, which made him very frustrated. What kind of character was Qian Qingyun? He saw through Sima Meng's emotional changes, patted his shoulder, and said, "Just a woman. If junior nephew likes, I'll find a few beautiful maids for junior nephew, to let junior nephew enjoy himself. I guarantee they'll all be virgins who haven't known men." "Alright, Marshal Uncle," Sima Meng waved his hand, feeling frustrated. "Oh right, where is that beauty locked up? I can at least take a look, right? I want to see what kind of beauty she is," Sima Meng said. Hearing this, Yang Lei couldn't help but widen his ears. "Alright, looking is fine, but you're not allowed to touch her. If you mess up senior brother's important matter, not only you, but I too could be punished," Qian Qingyun said. "Marshal Uncle, rest assured," Qian Qingyun shook his head and said something to a guard beside him, telling him to take Sima Meng there. Leaving the room, Yang Lei followed. After circling several small courtyards, they arrived at a relatively secluded one. "Young Master Sima, this is the place," the guard said. Good, hurry up, I can't wait." Sima Meng rubbed his hands together. As soon as they entered the courtyard, they saw a woman in white sitting in the courtyard, with a maidservant standing beside her. That woman was Yang Qingshui, whom Yang Lei was looking for. What a beauty! Sima Meng's mouth watered. He walked step by step towards Yang Qingshui. Sensing Sima Meng's fervent gaze, Yang Qingshui turned her head, her brows furrowed, her face filled with disgust. "You all release me immediately, or the Profound Mechanism sect will not let you off." Ha ha ha, you crack me up. Profound Mechanism sect? What's the Profound Mechanism sect worth? A mere small Profound Mechanism sect is nothing in the eyes of this young master. Little beauty, if you obediently follow me, I guarantee you'll be in heaven. Sima Meng's eyes were filled with greedy lust. Yang Lei, from his hidden spot, couldn't help but be shocked. Was this Shura Hall really that powerful, actually able to contend with the Profound Mechanism sect? But now was not the time to be surprised. Yang Lei took out a communication. Talisman. Chapter 246, Rescue. Elder Gu, Elder Tianyi, I found Qingshui's whereabouts. Please rush over now. Good, I'll be there immediately. Don't act rashly. Wait until Tianyi and I arrive, Elder Gu instructed. Yang Lei responded, I know. Don't worry. Cutting off the communication talisman, Yang Lei thought about how to silently kill everyone in this courtyard. Unfortunately, he couldn't use the anesthetic refined from Crouching Dragon Drunk. Otherwise, no one in the entire Prince Qing's mansion would be awake. He checked the system to see if there was anything that could help him. He opened the exchange system. Anesthetic, a drug that can silently incapacitate enemies. This anesthetic did exist, but they were all ordinary anesthetics. The most potent could only incapacitate a martial saint first stage at most. And most of them were not anesthetic smoke. Odorless and colorless anesthetic smoke was what Yang Lei needed. He searched down the list and indeed found a type of anesthetic smoke. Heaven-human inversion. Anesthetic smoke like heaven-human inversion, as its name implied, could instantly incapacitate thousands of people, but it had no effect on martial saints and above. Moreover, it could only be used within a small range. However, it was enough to deal with the people here. Ding, player, do you wish to exchange for heaven-human inversion anesthetic smoke? Exchange. Ding, congratulations to the player for obtaining heaven-human inversion anesthetic smoke. Just as Yang Lei was about to use the anesthetic smoke to incapacitate everyone in the courtyard, Elder Gu and Elder Tianyi arrived. What's the situation? Where is Qingshui? Elder Gu immediately transmitted his voice upon seeing Yang Lei. Inside, Yang Lei said, pointing inside. Elder Gu went in to check, and happened to see Sima Meng about to lay hands on Gu Jing. His face immediately darkened. Damn it. He actually dared to lay hands on Qingshui. I'll hack him into 10,000 pieces. Seeing Elder Gu about to make a move, Yang Lei quickly pulled him back and said, Don't alert the enemy yet. How can I wait? Am I supposed to let him toy with Qingshui? Qing Shui is my granddaughter, my Gumo's granddaughter. How can I let her be bullied like this? Elder Gu roared furiously. Yang Lei was only now learning Elder Gu's name. There are quite a few people inside. If we alarm others in the prince's mansion, it'll be troublesome. Let me use anesthetic smoke to incapacitate all of them, then we won't alert anyone. What kind of anesthetic smoke? With my and Elder Gu's cultivation, no one is our match, Elder Channy said. We can just eliminate them directly. How dare they provoke the dignity of our profound mechanism sect? If we don't deal with them, where would our profound mechanism sect's dignity be? Yang Lei immediately released the anesthetic smoke, and at the same time said, Elder Gu, Elder Channy, please listen to me. I heard a big secret earlier, which is why I didn't act so quickly. Otherwise, Qing Shui would have been rescued by me long ago. What secret? Seeing Yang Lei so serious, Elder Gu also had to take it seriously. He could tell that Yang Lei wasn't one to speak carelessly. Since he said so, it must be something important. Yang Lei looked at the two and said, I wonder if Elder Gu and Elder Channy have heard of Shura Hall? Shura Hall? How can that be? Elder Gu's face immediately changed drastically. Elder Gu, is this Shura Hall so terrifying? Seeing Elder Gu's expression change drastically, Elder Channy was also puzzled. He had never heard of any Shura Hall, but seeing Elder Gu's expression, he knew that Shura Hall was definitely not a simple organization. However, Elder Gu was an ultimate expert after all, his mind having long reached its peak. He took a deep breath before saying, if it truly is Shura Hall, then I'm afraid things will be truly troublesome. The martial worship continent, no, the entire mysterious origin star, will erupt in a storm of blood and chaos. Elder Gu still wanted to ask about Shura Hall, but then discovered that the people in the courtyard had all silently fallen. Let's go. Elder Gu, we'll talk about this later. Let's rescue Qing Shui and leave this place first, Yang Lei said. Good. The three immediately entered the small courtyard, went to young Qing Shui, and helped her up. Yang Lei took out an antidote pill and fed it to her. Young Qing Shui, who had been unconscious, quickly regained consciousness. Don't come over, don't come over. As soon as she woke up, young Qing Shui shouted. It's all right, Sister Qing Shui, it's me, Yang Lei. Yang Lei quickly comforted her. At this moment, Elder Gu glared at Yang Lei and said, you brat, look at you. This is all you're doing. If you had acted sooner, my granddaughter wouldn't have been startled. Brother Yang, Grandpa, thank you. Yang Qing Shui's initially agitated emotions calmed down upon seeing Yang Lei and Elder Gu, her face filled with joy. Qing Shui, are you all right? Elder Gu asked with deep concern. Yang Qing Shui shook her head. I'm fine. I wasn't hurt at all. But then Yang Qing Shui seemed to remember something. She quickly pushed Yang Lei away and loudly said, Brother Yang, let's go quickly, hurry. They poisoned me. Don't touch me. If you touch me, the poison will spread to you. Poison? Yang Lei smiled. Qing Shui, it's all right. I'm not afraid of poison. But Elder Gu was startled and said, Little Lei, still be careful. Let me check. Yang Lei said, don't be anxious. Let's leave here first to avoid further complications. They must have other arrangements. If we're discovered then, it could be very troublesome. Good, let's leave here first. Elder Gu nodded, pulling Yang Qing Shui. Let's go, we'll leave first. Before leaving, Yang Lei would not let Sima Meng off. A surge of true qi struck his heart, ending his life. Ding, congratulations to the player for killing a martial emperor of great perfection. Obtained 900,000 experience points, 900,000 true qi points, and 900,000 cultivation points. Ding, congratulations to the player for obtaining an 8th level black killer tiger. Ding, congratulations to the player for obtaining a slaughter condensing pill. The gains were not small. He actually got an 8th level black killer tiger, and another pill. But this wasn't the time to check. Yang Lei, Elder Gu, Elder Tianyi, and Yang Qingshui quickly left Prince Qing's mansion and headed towards the Profound Mechanism Pavilion. As soon as he left Prince Qing's mansion, Yang Lei suddenly felt dizzy. And Elder Gu also felt something was wrong. Not good, poisoned. Chapter 247, The 5,000-Year-Old Secret. It was then that Yang Lei remembered what Yang Qingshui had said. Since he cultivated the toxin art, generally speaking, poison had no effect on him, but this poison was clearly unusual. Elder Gu, do you feel something is wrong? Guillemot nodded slightly. It's true that something is wrong. This poison is truly not simple. It would take me at least half a month to dispel it. Half a month? Yang Lei couldn't help but gasp. Not only Yang Lei, but Elder Tianyi was also greatly startled. He knew Elder Gu's cultivation. He had long reached a state of immunity to all poisons, yet he was still poisoned. Furthermore, this poison would take half a month to expel, showing how terrifying it was. Hurry, quickly return to the Profound Mechanism Pavilion. I think they anticipated this. This is very likely a trap. Elder Tianyi shouted. Returning to the Profound Mechanism Pavilion, Elder Tianyi quickly sent someone to find an antidote pill. Yang Lei still took it, though in truth, he didn't think much of this antidote pill. Its quality and effectiveness were far inferior to the ones he refined. However, taking this antidote pill seemed to have little effect. So Yang Lei tried using the healing art. The healing art seemed to have some effect, but it was very weak. If he were to detoxify like this, it would probably take a month to expel the toxins from his body. Little Lei, how are you doing? Yang Lei shook his head and said, You don't need to worry. I don't have many problems. However, Sister Qingshui will be in trouble. Yang Lei himself had a special physique and cultivated the mysterious origin art. Although the toxins were difficult to expel from his body, after examination and using the healing art, Yang Lei himself wasn't greatly affected. But Yang Qingshui was different. Her cultivation was weak, her physique was also weak, and she had no resistance to that potent poison. Therefore, she was severely poisoned. If she didn't get an antidote within 3 days, it would be troublesome. She could very likely die from blood exhaustion. As for Elder Gu, being at the martial god realm, he could completely suppress these toxins and slowly expel them from his body. Qingshui is also poisoned, that's undeniable. However, Qingshui has a weak physique, and her cultivation isn't high. Furthermore, this poison was administered to her, so she herself can be considered the source of the poison, making it very troublesome. I used the healing art to treat Qingshui a bit, but it can only suppress it for 3 days. After 3 days, it will be ineffective. Therefore, we must obtain the antidote within 3 days, Yang Lei explained. Brother Yang, this is fate. You don't need to be troubled for me. If it weren't for Brother Yang's help, my life would have long been gone. These days have been a bonus for me. I'm very happy to have met Brother Yang. Yang Qingshui's face was a little pale, forcing a smile. Yang Lei's heart skipped a beat. This girl was probably truly deeply in love with him. It's all right. I will definitely find an antidote for you, Yang Lei comforted. That's right, Qingshui, don't worry. For now, you should rest, Gu Jing said. Oh right, here's a pill. Take it. It should be of great help. Yang Lei took out an antidote pill he had refined himself. This was an earth-rank antidote pill, and it was a perfect pill, far superior to the one from the Profound Mechanism Pavilion. Yang Qingshui glanced at it, but shook her head and said, Brother Yang, I cannot accept this elixir. Brother Yang is more important. Yang Lei said, It's nothing. I have more, and my body is much stronger than yours. Although this poison is in my body, my cultivation technique can suppress it. So, right now, the most crucial thing is you. Thank you, Brother Yang. After Yang Qingshui left, Elder Gu sighed. We still have to find Sima Hu. However, if Sima Hu is really from Shura Hall, then things might not be so simple. Elder Gu, what exactly is the Shura Hall? Seeing you so worried, could Shura Hall be even more powerful than our Profound Mechanism sect? Yang Lei naturally knew the Profound Mechanism sect's power and understood that Elder Gu must be a formidable figure. Ever since Elder Gu heard about Shura Hall, his emotions changed drastically, leading Yang Lei to speculate that Shura Hall definitely clashed with the Profound Mechanism sect, and that Shura Hall was also extremely formidable. Elder Gu looked at the two, his tone calm as he said, "Since you wish to know, I shall tell you. After all, if Shura Hall has reappeared, it means our Profound Mechanism sect is once again facing a great calamity." Yang Lei and Elder Channy listened quietly, saying nothing. This Shura Hall was a great demonic cultivation sect 5,000 years ago. Its strength was extremely formidable. At that time, it could be said to have spread across the entire mysterious origin star. All 4 continents had their forces. Their goal was to unify the entire mysterious origin star and turn it into their own domain. When they did that, our major sects naturally wouldn't agree. We all mobilized and confronted Shura Hall. During those 500 years, the entire mysterious origin star was engulfed in a storm of blood. Countless martial god experts perished, and there were even mighty beings who surpassed martial gods. Their battles were earth-shattering. Because our martial worship continent was the main battleground among the 4 continents, our martial worship continent suffered the greatest damage. That war caused our martial worship continent's experts to almost completely disappear. That's why our martial worship continent became the weakest continent among the 4, and various resources also suffered great destruction. So even today, the strength of our martial worship continent still cannot compare to the other 3 continents. After that war, our several major sects on the martial worship continent also weakened to an extreme. Our Profound Mechanism sect was the #1 major sect on the martial worship continent at that time, so it was also the primary target of Shura Hall. That's why our Profound Mechanism sect suffered the most severe blow. After that war, the Profound Mechanism sect's strength plummeted. In contrast, the other major sects didn't suffer as much damage, which is why our Profound Mechanism sect fell from being the leader of the martial worship continent's 7 great sects to its current 5th position. Chapter 248, Sima Who's Deal. 1. At this point, Guimo couldn't help but sigh. Elder Gu, did you experience all this? Elder Gu spoke as if he had witnessed it firsthand, making Yang Lei very curious. Could Elder Gu be over 5,000 years old? That seemed impossible. Elder Gu smiled upon hearing this and said, "How could that be? This happened 5,000 years ago. I hadn't been born then. These things were all told to me by my grandfather. If Shura Hall was so terrifying, why didn't they completely destroy it back then?" Elder Channy realized the seriousness of the matter. If Shura Hall were to cause trouble again, how terrifying would that be? Who knew how many people would die? That would truly be a great calamity, a bloody storm. Completely annihilate Shura Hall? How could that be? At that time, Shura Hall's strength was incredibly formidable. To call it the greatest power under heaven would be no exaggeration. The cultivation of Shura Hall's lord, Shura, was unfathomable. Back then, 10 peerless experts from the 4 continents jointly besieged him, yet they still couldn't completely kill him. Instead, they paid a heavy price to seal him deep within the endless sea, Elder Gu said. 10 peerless experts from the 4 continents jointly besieged him, yet they couldn't kill him, only seal him, and even then, they paid a heavy price. What terrifying cultivation was that? It was hard to imagine. In Yang Lei's mind, the image of a peerless expert involuntarily emerged. When would he be able to reach such a realm? From Elder Gu's words, these 10 peerless experts must all be cultivators who surpassed the martial god realm. So what realm did Shura reach? The Endless Sea. That was one of the 3 great perilous lands of the martial worship continent. Yang Lei had to cross the Endless Sea to reach the Boundless continent, which made Yang Lei wary. Today, Shura Hall has reappeared, which likely means Shura intends to break free from his seal. This will be a great calamity. After recuperating for over 5,000 years, who knows how powerful Shura Hall has become. If Shura breaks free from his seal again, can anyone on the 4 continents stop him? At this point, Elder Gu's tone was full of helplessness. But Yang Lei said, Elder Gu, why worry so much? If Shura truly emerged, then Shura Hall wouldn't need to hide like this, but would instead openly confront the major sections. Little Lei, you're right. I was worrying needlessly. Shura Hall is still hiding and avoiding, which is not Shura's style. Therefore, Shura has probably not broken free from his seal yet. However, Shura Hall must be preparing to rescue Shura, so we must do our utmost to prevent this from happening. Upon returning to the Profound Mechanism sect, we should probably organize an Immortal Sect Grand Assembly to inform the major sects of this matter, Elder Gu said, looking at the two. Elder Gu is absolutely right, Elder Channy said. However, our top priority right now is to obtain the antidote from Sima Hu and resolve Qing Shui's potent poison first. Yang Lei shifted the topic back. At this moment, Gu Jing rushed in. Grandpa, someone else sent a letter. It's for little Lei. Let me see. Yang Lei quickly took it and opened it. The letter stated that Yang Lei was to meet alone at Crouching Ox Mountain tomorrow at noon. It's Sima Hu. Elder Gu's expression remained unchanged, his tone flat as he said, What does the letter say? It asks me to go to Crouching Ox Mountain alone tomorrow at noon, Yang Lei said, handing the letter to Elder Gu. He really thinks of himself as something. Elder Gu pushed the letter aside, somewhat annoyed. I'll go. No. Hearing Yang Lei say that, Gu Jing quickly spoke up. The three immediately looked at her. Gu Jing's face flushed slightly, feeling a bit awkward. She said, What I mean is, if little Lei goes alone, he will definitely be in danger. We can't let little Lei take such a risk. Yang Lei said, It's nothing. I'm confident I can return safely. Besides, for Qing Shui's sake, I have to go. But they clearly want to lure you out. Their goal is you, Gu Jing said. Little Lei, let's discuss this thoroughly. If you go alone, it's too dangerous. If something happens to you, I don't think Qing Shui would want to see that, Elder Gu said after some thought. Grandpa is right. If something happens to you, then, how will Qing Shui cope? Gu Jing stared at Yang Lei with wide eyes. If I don't go, I won't get the antidote. I can't just watch Qing Shui get into trouble. She's my friend, one of my few friends, Yang Lei said. Qing Shui got into this trouble because of me. If I don't care, then I'm not worthy of being a man. Elder Gu nodded secretly at Yang Lei's words. Only with such courage could one be considered a man. There were probably not many who could do that. The next day at noon. Crouching Ox Mountain. This mountain had a peak resembling an old ox lying down, hence its name. It was more than 30 li from the city, an excellent location for an ambush. Yang Lei looked up and saw 3 figures in the distance. He activated his appraisal art. One of them was Sima Hu, a late-stage martial saint. He cultivated the hegemon tiger fist. Although he was a late-stage martial saint, his true combat strength was no less than a martial saint of great perfection. Especially his domineering internal force, combined with his black cloud tiger, was like a fish in water. He was even a notch stronger than ordinary martial saint great perfection experts. The two behind him were Sima Xing and Sima Na. Their cultivation was also not weak, both having reached the martial saint realm. One was a first-stage martial saint, and the other was a third-stage martial saint. Sima Xing was skilled in array formations and was an intermediate array master, while Sima Na was skilled in poison and was a poison master. No wonder Sima Hu's Black Tiger Mountain didn't fear the 4 great clans. Just these 2 people alone were enough to handle. Although their cultivation was only at the early martial saint stage, having these 2 was comparable to a 1,000,000-strong army. Sima Hu, where's the antidote? Yang Lei didn't ask anything else, directly stating his purpose. Antidote, I can give you the antidote, but can you take it? Sima Hu was very arrogant. He casually tossed out a porcelain bottle. Yang Lei caught it and used his appraisal art. Chapter 249, Sima Hu's Deal. 2. It was indeed the antidote, but Yang Lei couldn't help but glance at Sima Hu in surprise. He hadn't expected this guy to just hand over the antidote without a second thought. What was he planning? Yang Lei couldn't help but suspect. Yet, this guy showed no murderous intent, but instead looked at him with a smile. That look, yes, that look was one of appreciation. Appreciation? He appreciated him? But Yang Lei was puzzled. Yang Lei couldn't figure it out. Did he still want to win him over? Sima Hu, you made such a big show, went through so much trouble, not just to meet me once, right? Moreover, I think you already knew that I killed your disciple, Yang Tianfeng, Yang Lei said, looking at him. Upon hearing this, Sima Hu's mouth couldn't help but twitch. His heart was filled with hatred for Yang Lei. He knew that Yang Tianfeng was his illegitimate son, and he had hoped to use him to control the Yang family and infiltrate the profound mechanism sect, but he hadn't expected Yang Lei to just kill him. He had even killed his favorite disciple, Sima Meng. If it weren't for the explicit order from above to try his best to win over Yang Lei, he would have already gone all out to hack this guy into 10,000 pieces. But what frustrated him was that the orders from above were clear: try to win over Yang Lei, and give him whatever he wanted. In short, establish a good relationship with him. Even if he didn't want to join, they couldn't do anything to him. Thus, Sima Hu hated Yang Lei to the bone, yet he had to put on a smiling face. He had originally prepared to kill Yang Lei at Crouching Ox Mountain. Everything had been arranged perfectly, but he hadn't expected that just last night, someone from above came and issued such an order. Sima Hu couldn't figure out the demands from above at all. However, Sima Hu was a clever person. Since the higher-ups had spoken, he had no choice but to comply. His son was killed, but he could have more. Although he didn't have many sons, he didn't have only one. And Yang Tianfeng was just an illegitimate son. As for disciples, there were even more. If they were killed, then so be it. But if he dared to disobey orders, the consequences would be unimaginable. Sima Hu understood the rules of Shura Hall very well. Moreover, that powerful figure's cultivation was terrifying. He had long stepped into the martial god realm. To kill him was as easy as crushing an ant. If he dared to be insincere, the consequences would be dire. The thought of those who had once disobeyed orders made Sima Hu shiver. Recovering his senses, Sima Hu looked at Yang Lei and said, I want to make a deal with you. As for this antidote, consider it my sincerity. Yang Lei looked at him in surprise, even more unclear about what he wanted. Was he truly trying to win him over? Then he remembered that Sima Hu was from Shura Hall. Could he want to recruit him into Shura Hall? If that were the case, why make such a big show of it? Could it be because Shura Hall needed him to infiltrate the profound mechanism sect? A deal? What deal? Although his mind was constantly making guesses, his face showed no unusual expression, and he spoke. I wonder if young Master Yang is willing to join my Black Tiger Mountain? If you are, I can offer young Master Yang the position of second boss of Black Tiger Mountain. Sima Hu tentatively said. As long as young Master Yang agrees to become the second boss of my Black Tiger Mountain, all the resources and wealth of Black Tiger Mountain can be yours, young Master Yang. Yang Lei chuckled, looking at Sima Hu and saying, Big Boss Sima, you think too highly of me. I am merely a small martial emperor. To become the second boss of Black Tiger Mountain, I lack the strength and cannot command respect. Therefore, Big Boss Sima's kindness, I must politely decline. That's not a problem. If young Master Yang is willing to join my Black Tiger Mountain, none of this is a problem. Anyone who dares to disrespect second boss Yang will be directly killed. In Black Tiger Mountain, I, Sima Hu, am the sole decision-maker. Yang Lei's forehead pulsed with dark lines. This guy, he had already made it so clear, yet he was still persistent. Could there truly be some hidden agenda? Big Boss, you jest. Yang Lei believes he doesn't have that ability. I can only thank Big Boss Sima for your kindness. If Big Boss doesn't have other matters, then I must leave. There's someone waiting for me to detoxify them. Yang Lei said. So, you're being unappreciative? Sima, whose expression immediately became cold. He looked at Yang Lei and said in a chilly voice. Where do these words come from? Yang Lei's ambition doesn't lie here. The pinnacle of martial Dao is my pursuit. So, Big Boss's kind intentions are taken to heart. Exposing his true colors, Yang Lei muttered to himself. He didn't care about Sima, whose threats, but he secretly guarded against him. After all, Sima, whose cultivation was incredibly formidable. If he suddenly launched an attack, he might truly be injured. Brother, since this brat is so unappreciative, just kill him. Sima Xing said. That's right, Big Brother. This brat is too unappreciative. Big Brother offered him such good treatment, making him the second boss. What an honor. He actually refused. This shows he doesn't regard our Black Tiger Mountain at all, Sima Na said. Sima, who was also helpless. These were just words. If he really dared to do anything to him, he didn't know how that person from above would deal with him. He had been explicitly instructed that under no circumstances should he harm Yang Lei. So, even if he were given another 100 guts, he wouldn't dare to make a move. Sima, who couldn't figure out why that person from above valued this guy so much. Wasn't it just slightly better talent? But talented people were everywhere in the world. That person paid so much attention to Yang Lei. Could Yang Lei be his illegitimate son? Sima, who thought maliciously. Silence. Seeing his elder brother angry, Sima Xing and Sima Na wisely fell silent. They knew that Sima, who had a very short temper and was absolute. If they truly disobeyed him, even as his confidants, they wouldn't have an easy time, and a few punches would be light punishment. You two go over there first. I have something to say to young Master Yang. Seeing the two not speaking, Sima, who said again. Chapter 250, The Great Figure of Shura Hall. Big Brother. Go, hurry up. Are you afraid he'll do something to me? Seeing the two hesitate, Sima, who glared and said. Understood, Big Brother. The two reluctantly left. Before leaving, they glared fiercely at Yang Lei, as if telling him to be sensible. Young Master Yang, let's go over there and talk, Sima, who said. Yang Lei was not afraid that Sima, who would play any tricks, so he nodded. There's no one else here now. Just say what you want to say directly, Yang Lei said, looking at him. However, Sima, who was still a little uneasy. He took out an array formation and set it up. Yang Lei could tell it was a simple array formation, but it could prevent sounds from spreading outside. After finishing all this, Sima, who finally relaxed. I wonder if young Master Yang has heard of Shura Hall? Yang Lei knew inwardly, but he pretended not to know and said, I don't know what Big Boss Sima wants to say. I haven't heard of any Shura Hall or Linluo Hall. Yang Lei said this, and Sima, who didn't mind, continuing, it doesn't matter if you don't know. Young Master Yang will know sooner or later. What exactly does Big Boss want to say? If you want me to join your Black Tiger Mountain, then there's no need to say more. I've already made it very clear that I won't join Black Tiger Mountain. In 2 months, I'll go to the Profound Mechanism sect. Big Boss wouldn't think Black Tiger Mountain is more powerful than the Profound Mechanism sect, would you? Yang Lei looked at him and said. Sima, who smiled. In his heart, he didn't regard the Profound Mechanism sect. As long as that great figure was rescued, a mere small Profound Mechanism sect was nothing in his eyes. Naturally, I'm not talking about this. If young Master Yang doesn't want to, I won't force it. Then what do you want to say? To be frank with young Master Yang, I actually hated you to the bone, wishing I could eat your flesh and drink your blood, Sima, who said. Because Yang Tianfeng was my illegitimate son, and Sima Meng was my most beloved disciple, and you killed them both. Yang Lei was puzzled. Since you hated me so much, why are you still so amicable now, still greeting me with a smile, and even wanting me to join your Black Tiger Mountain and become the second boss of Black Tiger Mountain? Isn't this contradictory? Since that's the case, why is Big Boss so calm now? Does Big Boss not want to avenge his son and disciple? Yang Lei asked with a smile. He really couldn't understand what Sima Hu was up to. What was he truly trying to sell? This point made him difficult to grasp. It was a pity he didn't have mind-reading abilities. If he had, he would be able to see through what Sima Hu was thinking. In the future, if he ever got a mind-reading skill, he would definitely exchange for it. Sima Hu smiled bitterly. How dare I? That great figure from above has already given orders. If anything happens to you, my Black Tiger Mountain will suffer a devastating blow. How can I dare? Yang Lei was stunned. How could he not have expected things to turn out this way? He had fundamentally no connection with Shura Hall. He hadn't even heard about Shura Hall before yesterday. How could he be related to Shura Hall? But Yang Lei suddenly remembered, could it be his never-before-seen father, or his mother? If that were the case, it would still be possible. But what was the connection exactly? Was the reason his never-before-seen father, or his mother? All of this would have to wait until he went to the boundless continent and found his mother to understand clearly. Today, everything was a mystery. That's right, his cultivation is formidable. Even a martial god would find it difficult to contend with him. And you are valued by this great figure. Your future is limitless. You might even control a continent, which is possible. Regarding that great figure's regard for Yang Lei, Sima Hu was actually very envious. However, he knew that he was too far behind. To gain the attention of that great figure, he needed to work hard and satisfy that great figure. Sima Hu's words plunged Yang Lei into contemplation. If these words were to reach the ears of the Profound Mechanism sect elders, he would probably be in trouble. To become strong, he had to rely on the Profound Mechanism sect. This was the right path. Moreover, there were people he cared about in the Profound Mechanism sect. The Profound Mechanism sect was the way to go. As for Shura Hall, even if that great figure of Shura Hall truly valued him, Shura Hall's reputation was bad after all. As the saying goes, the winner is king, the loser is bandit. Whatever it was, it needed the right time, place, and people. And Shura Hall lacked all three. Even if Shura broke free from his seal, even if his cultivation was the strongest on the entire mysterious origin star, he still failed, didn't he? Moreover, he didn't want to bear such a bad name. Young Master Yang, how about it? If young Master Yang agrees, that great figure will come to find you very soon. At that time, I hope young Master Yang will put in a good word for me. Sima Hu said with a somewhat fawning tone. Yang Lei shook his head and said, I'm sorry, I won't agree. Shura Hall has nothing to do with me. I don't know anything about Shura Hall, and I don't want to join Shura Hall. Sima Hu was surprised upon hearing this and said, that's something others yearn for. Do you know that if you agree, the benefits that great figure will bestow upon you will be immeasurable? Without any accidents, you could reach Martial Saint in a few years, and receive the best resources and guidance. Your status would be below 1 person and above 10,000. Whatever you want, you will have. Yang Lei smiled and said, cultivation is still best done one step at a time. If one is too eager for success, it will be difficult to achieve great accomplishments in the future. So even if that great figure can make me a martial god instantly, I will not agree. So Big Boss Sima, you still shouldn't waste your breath. Chapter 251, Fight, Fight, Fight. Just as Sima Hu was about to let Yang Lei leave, the voice of that great figure rang in his ear. Sima Hu, keep him here. Let's see what abilities he truly possesses. Big Boss Sima, please withdraw the array formation. I wish to leave. No, you still cannot leave. Since you do not wish to join my Black Tiger Mountain, nor do you wish to join Shura Hall, then I cannot let you go. As for the antidote, I can have someone deliver it back to you, but you must stay. Do not make things difficult for me, otherwise, I will find it hard to explain to my superior, Sima Hu said, shaking his head. Yang Lei's expression turned cold. He already knew things wouldn't be that simple. It seemed there was indeed a fierce battle ahead. Should he directly use instant travel to escape? However, if he could kill this Sima Hu, the reward would definitely be substantial. Withdraw the array formation, or else I won't be polite. Yang Lei said in a cold voice. Sima Hu shook his head. I will not let you leave, young Master Yang. Just give up that idea. Humph. Yang Lei snorted coldly and unleashed a punch. Crack, crack. The array formation Sima Hu had set up was instantly shattered. Sima Hu was astonished. Although his array formation wasn't particularly powerful, a mere martial lord couldn't possibly break it. One needed at least martial emperor cultivation to destroy it. But the current situation was that the array formation he had set up was destroyed with a single punch, and effortlessly at that. This meant that Yang Lei's cultivation was not as simple as he perceived. He had hidden his true cultivation. Indeed, he lives up to the great figure's expectations. To actually break through my array formation so easily. But even so, you still can't escape. Sima Hu waved his hand, summoning his demonic beast, a black cloud tiger. It was incredibly mighty, its black fur sleek, with golden king-shaped markings on its forehead, looking particularly striking. Its large eyes, like bronze bells, glared at Yang Lei, gnashing its teeth and baring its fangs, constantly exhaling a bloody stench. If Yang Lei made any unusual movement, it would unhesitatingly pounce and tear him to shreds. So, Big Boss Sima, you're absolutely determined to keep me here, then? I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do so, Yang Lei said indifferently. Haha, haha. Sima Hu didn't get angry, instead, he laughed. His own cultivation was at the late martial saint stage, and his combat strength was even stronger than ordinary martial saint great perfection experts. Coupled with the black cloud tiger's assistance, his strength was extraordinary. Yet, today, he was spoken to in such a manner by a junior who had just reached the martial emperor realm. Naturally, he felt a surge of anger, even if the junior was valued by that great figure. I want to see what methods you possess. Let me, Sima Hu, see what that person values in you. A tiger-headed broadsword appeared in Sima Hu's hand. The saber light gleamed, clearly an extraordinary treasure blade. To strike first was to gain the upper hand. Yang Lei immediately made his move. The flying dagger in his hand appeared, transforming into a white streak of light. Clang! Sima Hu was no simple individual. The tiger-headed broadsword in his hand parried, his body swayed, and he easily blocked Yang Lei's flying dagger. Of course, Yang Lei also knew that a single flying dagger could never kill him. So, his entire being transformed into a ghostly black shadow, following closely behind the flying dagger, attacking Sima Hu. He unleashed his strongest moves from the start. Windblade 7 kills, 5 kills combined. Perish for me. Good. Sima Hu suddenly roared. Yang Lei's combat strength exceeded his expectations. His combat strength was actually subtly on par with his own. How could he not be shocked and surprised? This move could absolutely be compared to a late-stage martial saint. Fierce tiger saber art, majestic might shake the heavens. And the black cloud tiger beside Sima Hu wasn't idle either. With a roar, it charged towards Yang Lei, forming a pincer attack. Bang, bang, bang. Yang Lei's wind concealment saber clashed with Sima Hu's broadsword, sparking bursts of flames. The powerful qi impacted the surroundings, sending shattered rocks flying, and countless plants were destroyed. After one strike, Yang Lei quickly retreated, avoiding the black cloud tiger's flanking attack. Yang Lei knew that he absolutely couldn't defeat Sima Hu and the black cloud tiger. Even against Sima Hu alone, he couldn't easily defeat him, unless he used the great strength Vajra pill and then unleashed the Heaven Saber One form. Meanwhile, Sima Xing and Sima Na, hearing the sounds of battle, also rushed over. Seeing Yang Lei facing off against their big brother with a saber, they were shocked. This pretty boy could actually contend with their big brother. No wonder Big Brother was willing to offer him the position of second boss to recruit him. It turned out this brat indeed had strength. The two looked at each other and charged towards Yang Lei. The actions of the two naturally fell into Yang Lei's eyes. He sneered and said, "Want to gang up on me? Humph, mere trifles, truly overestimating yourselves. Ooh. You pretty boy, I'll tear you apart." Sima Xing had an extremely volatile temper. How could he tolerate Yang Lei's provocation? No need for Big Brother to act, no need to gang up. I alone can tear you apart. Aisheng, stop. Sima, who inwardly cursed, not good, and quickly shouted. But Sima Xing was beyond listening. He raised the weapon in his hand high, a giant axe, also a top-grade spirit artifact. Forceful chop mountain. Veins bulged on his arm. He unleashed this strike with all his might. Generally, array masters were meticulous and detailed individuals, but Sima Xing was an exception. Although his mind was simple, he had extremely high attainments in array formations. He used array formations in battle with superb skill. A combat array formation was inscribed on his giant axe, doubling its attack power. Watching the giant axe chop towards him, it actually formed a black vortex. Yang Lei was astonished. The black vortex grew larger and larger, seemingly wanting to suck in people's souls. Terrifying. On the other side, Sima Na, seeing such a scene, was not idle either. She coldly smiled, her figure flickering, wind rising beneath her feet, and she arrived behind Yang Lei. Want to launch a sneak attack? Humph, no way. The flying dagger in Yang Lei's hand flew out, striking towards the black vortex, then he turned around, unleashing a saber strike that was like a flash of lightning, instantly arriving before Sima Na. Chapter 252, The Poison King's Legacy. 1. Sima Na's soul almost flew out of her body. She quickly retreated, but she couldn't escape, her speed was far too slow. Just as she was about to become a ghost under the blade, a clang sound rang out. A tiger-headed broadsword blocked in front, taking the saber strike. Big Brother? Originally, he could have killed Sima Na, but Sima who intervened. Yang Lei wasn't angry. He immediately flew back a few steps, avoiding Sima whose attack range. Having almost been killed, Sima Na was filled with boundless rage. She raised both hands, and streaks of black mist erupted from them. Her eyes gradually became eerie. Sima Na, don't mess around. Sima who quickly shouted upon seeing this. But Sima Na didn't care so much. Her life had almost been lost, how could she pay attention to anything else? I want to kill him. Fierce poison devouring soul, go. Poison master? Yang Lei's eyes narrowed slightly. This time, he finally saw the methods of a true poison master. Earlier, he had encountered the Bloody 13 Dao, which included a poison master, but that guy was relatively unlucky. He was killed by Yang Lei's flying dagger before he could even make a move. But the Sima Na before him was actually unleashing a true poison master's secret art. Die. Yang Lei didn't know if he could resist this poison technique, but he still used his healing art. A white light struck the black mist, but the black mist didn't disperse at all, completely unaffected. Yang Lei's expression changed slightly, his mind racing. Suzhen, appear. A white light flashed, and Bai Suzhen's beautiful figure appeared before Yang Lei. Young master, leave this to me. Yang Lei didn't know if Bai Suzhen could handle it, but he had no choice and could only rely on her. He hoped she had a way to deal with this poison technique, so he nodded and said, Suzhen, be careful. Tell me if you can't handle it. Sima who was shocked when he saw Bai Suzhen appear. Martial Saint Great Perfection? White Dragon Sword Art. As Bai Suzhen softly called out, the white dragon sword in her hand erupted with bursts of sword light, striking towards the black mist. Very quickly, the black mist was rendered invisible by the formidable and sharp sword chi. Pfft. Sima Na retreated several steps, then spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Her eyes were bloodshot, glaring at Bai Suzhen and Yang Lei with hatred. Damn it. You actually broke my poison technique. But you won't have an easy time either. Even if you are a martial saint great perfection, you'll be miserable. You'll be entangled by the poison, your meridians will be continuously corroded, and your cultivation will decline. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Yang Lei's expression changed drastically upon hearing this. He looked at Bai Suzhen and asked, Suzhen, are you alright? I'm fine, Bai Suzhen shook her head, but then her entire body collapsed. Yang Lei was startled and quickly supported her. You still say you're fine. Yang Lei used his appraisal art and found that Bai Suzhen was indeed in a poisoned state. He used his detoxification art. But it was useless. Antidote pill, that's right, there's still the antidote pill. Yang Lei quickly took out an antidote pill and gave it to Bai Suzhen. What frustrated Yang Lei was that this antidote pill actually had no effect. It could only control the toxins a little, but couldn't eliminate them. Yang Lei told Bai Suzhen to return to his body to recover, then angrily looked at Sima Hu and Sima Na and said, Antidote? Antidote? There's no antidote. Ha ha ha, there's no antidote. Unless her cultivation breaks through to martial god, otherwise, she'll just have to wait to die. Sima Na laughed somewhat maniacally. You're courting death. Yang Lei was furious, completely enraged. He consumed a great strength Vajra pill, his power instantly surged, and his entire body's aura locked onto Sima Na. I want your life. Windblade 7 kills, 5 kills combined. Today, Yang Lei had consumed a great strength Vajra pill and unleashed Windblade 7 kills, 5 kills combined, his combat strength soaring 500 times. How terrifying was that? Even the late-stage martial Saint Sima Hu would have to avoid the sharp edge, so how could Sima Na block it? That saber strike was incredibly fierce, leaving Sima Na breathless. She was already injured and was pressured by this aura, unable to move, watching helplessly as the formidable saber chi swept over. Fierce tiger saber art, break for me. Sima Hu naturally wouldn't watch Yang Lei kill Sima Na in front of him. At the very least, they were brothers who followed him. How could he let him be killed like that? Their chi collided. Sima Hu retreated several steps, and Yang Lei was also not doing well. Sima Na spat out another mouthful of blood, her face as pale as paper. Sima Hu was astonished. Yang Lei's cultivation had actually increased again, and the extent of the increase was unbelievable. He now understood why Yang Lei dared to come alone, completely fearless. Very good, you injured Suzhen. You will all pay a hefty price for this. Yang Lei wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He had suffered a minor injury from the clash with Sima Hu just now, but it was not a hindrance. His eyes became extremely sharp, like drawn swords, making others dare not look directly. Heaven Saber 1 form. Yang Lei slowly raised his long saber, his aura continuously strengthening. Sima Hu sensed a strong sense of crisis. That saber strike was too terrifying. Retreat, retreat, only retreat. Otherwise, there was only one path, death. But could he easily avoid it like that? The answer was naturally no. Heaven Saber 1 form was a saber art containing a trace of law. Its power was boundless. If one hadn't reached martial god great perfection, one fundamentally couldn't escape. Sima Sheng, Sima Na, Sima Hu, all of you die for me. Yang Lei suddenly shouted, and the long saber struck down. Not good. Let's attack together, or we'll all die here. Sima Hu's expression changed drastically. Yang Lei's move completely surpassed his tolerance. He absolutely couldn't take it alone. He hadn't expected Yang Lei to actually have such a terrifying move. At this moment, a huge long saber appeared in the eyes of the three. It seemed as if only that saber remained between heaven and earth. Fierce tiger saber art. Tiger's roar. Poison art. 10,000 poisons return to origin. Array formation. Suppress heaven and earth. The three all unleashed their strongest attacks, attempting to block Yang Lei's terrifying saber strike. At this moment, all of Yang Lei's true chi was drained. He looked at the saber strike he unleashed, but a faint hint of worry flashed in his eyes. Ding! Wind concealment saber triggered a one-hit kill. A one-hit kill. It actually triggered a one-hit kill. Then the three of them were dead for sure. Chapter 253, The Poison King's Legacy. 2. Hearing the system's notification, Yang Lei smiled. If the wind concealment saber hadn't triggered a one-hit kill, then Sima Hu and the other two might not necessarily have died, but with a one-hit kill appearing, it meant the three of them were undoubtedly dead. Ding! Congratulations to the player for killing Marshal Saint First Stage Sima Sheng. Obtained 100 million experience points, 1 million true chi points, and 1 million cultivation points. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining intermediate array formation art. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining 7 absolutes array. Ding! Congratulations to the player for killing Marshal Saint Third Stage Sima Na. Obtained 300 million experience points, 3 million true chi points, and 3 million cultivation points. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining incomplete poison scripture. Ding! Congratulations to the player for killing Marshal Saint Ninth Stage Sima Hu. Obtained 800 million experience points, 8 million true chi points, and 8 million cultivation points. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining Heaven Suppressing Tiger Talisman. Ding! Congratulations to the player for killing a 9th level Black Cloud Tiger. Obtained 400 million experience points, 4 million true chi points, and 4 million cultivation points. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining a 9th level Demonic Beast Core. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining Fierce Tiger Saber Art. Ding! Congratulations to the player for leveling up. Cultivation has entered Martial Emperor 2nd Stage. A huge burst. Another huge burst. It had been a long time since he felt so exhilarating. However, as soon as he thought of Bai Suzhen's current situation, the joy in Yang Lei's heart immediately vanished. Bai Suzhen's cultivation was already at Martial Saint Great Perfection, and she was already a half-step Martial God Realm expert, just a little short of breaking into the Martial God Realm. Moreover, after being together for so long, Yang Lei had completely regarded Bai Suzhen as his family. With his family injured like this, how could he be happy? Even if there was a huge burst this time, and he obtained many items and treasures, they were no match for one Bai Suzhen. Right, didn't he drop an incomplete poison scripture when he killed Sima Na? There should be a solution within that poison scripture. He opened the system and checked that incomplete poison scripture. He then heard the system notification. Ding! The two incomplete poison scriptures share the same origin and can be fused. Player, do you wish to fuse the two incomplete poison scriptures? Can be fused? Yang Lei remembered that when he killed Blood Python of the Bloody 13 Dao, he obtained an incomplete poison scripture, and this time, when he killed Sima Na, he also obtained an incomplete poison scripture. The incomplete poison scriptures they obtained actually shared the same origin, and the poison techniques they learned were all derived from the poison scripture. From this, it seemed that this poison scripture was truly not simple. If the two poison scriptures were fused, it would undoubtedly become even more powerful. Fuse or not? Fuse. Since it could be fused, then fuse it. This was a good thing. Ding! Fusion complete. Congratulations to the player for obtaining the incomplete poison scripture once again. Upon hearing the notification, Yang Lei was slightly stunned. What he got this time was still an incomplete poison scripture. Could there be other parts of this poison scripture? He immediately clicked to view it. Incomplete poison scripture, 1/3 an incomplete poison scripture, the life's work of the ancient Poison King. Obtaining the complete poison scripture will grant the Poison King's legacy. Ancient Poison King? To be worthy of the 4 words Ancient Poison King, he must certainly not be a weakling. In the ancient era, there were countless powerful experts, with martial gods everywhere. The legacy of the ancient Poison King, how terrifying would that be? However, seeing the parentheses after incomplete poison scripture, which indicated 1/3, it was clear that the poison scripture he had obtained was only one part. This meant there were still 2/3 of the poison scripture remaining. Outside. Obtaining the complete poison scripture would not be an easy task, but at least there was hope. Baisugen's poisoning was due to enlightenment from this incomplete poison scripture, so there should be an antidote method within. Fierce poison devouring soul, he remembered Sima Na shouting that phrase when she used the technique. The poison technique was found, but the antidote method was not. This move consumed an immense amount of energy. It could be said to have consumed half of Sima Na's lifespan, so it was naturally extraordinary. No antidote. There was actually no antidote. Could it be that Baisugen couldn't escape this calamity? Now Yang Lei was filled with regret. If this poison technique had been used on him, it wouldn't have had too great an impact. He could gain experience points by killing enemies to level up. His advancement to martial god was only a matter of time. Right, advancing to martial god. Thinking of this, Yang Lei slapped his head. There wasn't another method, and it was the only method that could dispel this poison, advancing to martial god. But what method could allow Baisugen to quickly advance to martial god? Yang Lei knew very well that if he couldn't quickly get Baisugen to advance to martial god, she might never have the chance to advance to martial god, and her cultivation would continuously decline. Rack his brains. Suddenly Yang Lei remembered an item. Baisugen was also a demonic beast. He remembered that when he killed the long-armed demonic ape emperor, he obtained a drop of divine beast blood. This drop of divine beast blood allowed the long-armed demonic ape emperor to advance from 8th level to 9th level, and even to the middle stage of 9th level. This divine beast blood possessed formidable energy. If he gave it to Baisugen, it would certainly allow her cultivation to advance another layer, and reaching the martial god realm would not be impossible. However, this was not a suitable place for cultivation. Yang Lei flew up, 2 wings opening behind him, his speed increasing several times. When Yang Lei left, a black-clothed man with long, flowing hair appeared on the spot. He exuded an indescribable charm, as if he had always been there, perfectly integrated with the entire heaven and earth. A smile played on the man's lips. Interesting. He truly lives up to Big Brother's expectations. To actually comprehend a trace of law at the martial emperor realm, though only a trace, it is truly rare. His potential is indeed limitless. The power of law, even martial god realm experts may not be able to comprehend it. I hope you, little brat, can bring more surprises to me and Big Brother. After speaking, the man's figure transformed into a speck of dust and disappeared into the air. If anyone had seen it, they would have mistaken him for an immortal. Even Yang Lei would have been astonished. Chapter 254, Heavenly Phenomenon. Yang Lei didn't stop for a moment. In just a few minutes, he rushed back to the profound mechanism pavilion. He's back, young Master Yang is back. Seeing Yang Lei's figure, the servant quickly shouted. Hearing the sound, Gu Jing was the first to rush out of the courtyard. She looked at Yang Lei and said, You're all right? Yang Lei shook his head, but his heart was filled with bitter smiles. He was fine, but Baisugen must have been miserable. She was poisoned by an unusual toxin for his sake. If she couldn't successfully advance to martial god, then the trouble could be immense. Qingshui is fine. Here's the antidote. Give it to her. I want to go into seclusion. No one is allowed to disturb me. Yang Lei threw Yang Qingshui's antidote to Gu Jing, then, without looking back, headed towards his room. He casually set up an array formation. Yang Lei's main goal this time was to detoxify Baisugen, so she could successfully advance to martial god. No one was allowed to disturb her. After finishing everything, Yang Lei summoned Baisugen out. Seeing Baisugen's pale face, Yang Lei's heart involuntarily trembled. Suzhen, how are your injuries? Baisugen looked at Yang Lei like that, forced a smile, and shook her head, saying, Young master, you don't need to worry. My injuries are fine. I can handle it. You don't need to worry about me. You still say you're fine? You're already so weak, Yang Lei said, glaring. This is also my fault. If I hadn't told you to go and stop him, you wouldn't have been hit by this poison technique. Yang Lei's tone was full of self-reproach. Bai Suzhen said, Suzhen is truly fine. Moreover, doing these things for young master is Suzhen's duty. Sigh, Yang Lei sighed. If I had unleashed my full strength from the beginning, none of this would have happened. Young master, don't blame yourself. Suzhen is truly fine. It's just a minor injury, cough cough. Cough cough. Bai Suzhen saw Yang Lei blaming himself, and spoke quickly, but her hurried tone made her cough. Don't speak. I've already thought of a way to help you recover. If it succeeds, you might even turn misfortune into a blessing, and your cultivation might advance another layer, Yang Lei said, then took out a drop of the divine beast blood he had obtained earlier. This is. Seeing the item in Yang Lei's hand, Bai Suzhen's entire body began to tremble, her eyes filled with disbelief. Suzhen, you recognize this thing? Yang Lei asked, looking at Bai Suzhen in surprise. Bai Suzhen nodded slightly, her expression agitated as she looked at Yang Lei and said, Young master, this must be the legendary divine beast blood, right? Yang Lei nodded upon hearing this and said, That's right, this is divine beast blood. I think this divine beast blood might be able to help you raise your realm, allowing you to reach the martial god realm in a short time. That way, you can dispel the poison technique in your body. Beyond Yang Lei's expectation, when he handed the divine beast blood to Bai Suzhen shook her head, refusing and saying, Young master, I cannot accept this. This is too precious. Suzhen cannot accept it. What's precious? Nothing is as important as my Suzhen. It's just a drop of divine beast blood. If I don't give it to you, who else will I give it to? Besides, as long as you use this drop of divine beast blood, your cultivation will advance another layer, reaching the martial god realm, and then you can help me a lot. My safety still needs your protection. I. Tears flickered in Bai Suzhen's eyes, her heart filled with emotion. Don't worry about that, quickly absorb this divine beast blood. I'll guard you. Yang Lei waved his hand, and the divine beast blood flew out of the porcelain bottle and into Bai Suzhen's glabella. Bai Suzhen gave Yang Lei a deep look. Thank you, young master. I will definitely not let young master down. With that, Bai Suzhen closed her eyes and began to absorb the divine beast blood. A moment later, Bai Suzhen's entire body emitted a faint light. This light grew brighter and larger. Soon, it formed a massive light shield, enveloping Bai Suzhen like a gigantic egg. Yang Lei felt Bai Suzhen's aura growing stronger and stronger. He knew that Bai Suzhen had begun to absorb the divine beast blood. Looking at Bai Suzhen, Yang Lei couldn't help but sigh. This divine beast blood was indeed extraordinary. This was just the beginning, and there was already such a huge reaction, her aura becoming so much stronger. It seemed that this divine beast blood allowing Bai Suzhen to advance to the martial god realm was not difficult at all. Yang Lei didn't know that because Bai Suzhen was absorbing the divine beast blood to advance to a divine beast, the entire courtyard experienced a strange phenomenon. Bright light burst forth from Yang Lei's room, and spiritual energy continuously gathered, forming a huge vortex. Yang Lei also felt the spiritual energy growing denser and denser. This was the best opportunity for cultivation. He immediately sat cross-legged. Such a rare opportunity, if wasted, would truly be a pity. Meanwhile, in the courtyard, Elder Gu, Elder Tianyi, and the others saw the strange phenomenon occurring at Yang Lei's courtyard. Their expressions couldn't help but change drastically, and they were greatly startled. How can this be? How can this be? Heavenly phenomenon. This is the phenomenon that appears when one advances to martial god. How can this be? Elder Tianyi's eyes widened, and he muttered with an open mouth. Not to mention Elder Tianyi, Elder Gu was also unusually surprised. Such a phenomenon truly only appeared when one advanced from martial saint great perfection to martial god. But Yang Lei was only at the martial emperor realm, he was 2 major realms away from martial god. Even if he was a genius, no matter how powerful, he couldn't possibly advance from martial emperor realm to martial saint great perfection and then break through to the martial god realm in such a short time. but the scene before them was real. There was no doubt that someone was attempting to break through to the martial god realm. However, despite the surprise, if such a phenomenon wasn't contained, the trouble could be immense. Elder Gu and Elder Tianyi exchanged glances. The two flew to Yang Lei's courtyard and jointly set up a barrier. This barrier could prevent others from detecting the phenomenon, but some powerful experts could still sense it. Yang Lei also felt that his time to break through had arrived. The mysterious origin art furiously circulated, 1 cycle, 2 cycles, 49 cycles. The true chi of the mysterious origin art charged towards the barrier of the 10th layer. Chapter 255, Martial God by Suzhen. Boom! The barrier was broken. The true chi in his body was like a flood breaking a dam, surging madly along the path of the 10th layer. After completing the mysterious origin art, breaking through the 9th layer and entering the 10th layer, Yang Lei felt that the true chi in his body had increased threefold compared to before. Threefold. Today, Yang Lei's true chi value could definitely rival a martial saint. If he encountered an early martial saint, Yang Lei now had the confidence to win even without using the Windblade's 7 kills to boost his combat strength. Stabilizing his cultivation, Yang Lei slowly opened his eyes, feeling comfortable throughout his body. He looked at Bai Suzhen and found that she was still inside that gigantic egg. Spiritual energy continuously poured towards her from all directions. An hour passed. The surrounding spiritual energy grew thinner. 3 hours passed, and the situation still hadn't changed. Bai Suzhen showed no signs of awakening. After a full day, Yang Lei felt a stir. Opening his eyes, Yang Lei knew that Bai Suzhen was about to awaken. Sure enough, with a bang, the gigantic egg surrounding Bai Suzhen burst open, transforming into invisible spiritual energy that then merged into Bai Suzhen's body. A moment later, Bai Suzhen opened her eyes, and a golden light flashed and disappeared. Suzhen, you're awake? Yang Lei was overjoyed to see Bai Suzhen open her eyes. Bai Suzhen's aura was now completely contained. He couldn't sense her aura at all, which meant she must have broken through martial saint great perfection and entered the martial god realm, her cultivation having greatly increased. The difference between a martial god and a martial saint was too vast. One martial god could absolutely deal with 10 martial saint great perfection experts, showing how enormous the gap between martial god and martial saint was. Bai Suzhen nodded slightly, looking at Yang Lei and saying, "Yes, young master. Today, Suzhen has broken through the bottleneck and officially stepped into the martial god realm. Then your injuries should be fine now, right?" Upon entering the martial god realm, one could become immune to all poisons. Ordinary poison techniques would be useless against a martial god. Of course, some special poisons would still not be immune to. Bai Suzhen said, "Thank you, young master. Today, Suzhen is no longer in any danger. Although the toxins haven't been completely dispelled yet, there's no need to worry at all. It should be completely cleared in just a few days." Today, Bai Suzhen was completely devoted to Yang Lei. Even if Yang Lei asked her to die, she would do so without hesitation. The yin-yang fruit, the white dragon sword art, and the divine beast blood, how precious these items were, Bai Suzhen knew all too well. He had given her such items without hesitation, showing her status in his heart. "It's good that you're all right," Yang Lei breathed a sigh of relief. Yang Lei had been worried that Bai Suzhen, having just reached the martial god realm, wouldn't be able to dispel the harm from that poison technique. Hearing Bai Suzhen's explanation, the weight in Yang Lei's heart finally lifted. However, young master, for a short period of time, Suzhen might not be able to help young master, Bai Suzhen said, looking at Yang Lei, her tone filled with apology. Yang Lei was slightly stunned. He remembered that when Bai Suzhen broke through to the martial saint stage, she also entered a half-year-long slumber. This time, breaking through to martial god, would she also need to slumber? "It's nothing," Yang Lei said with a smile. "How long will it take? Half a year? Or even longer?" Bai Suzhen heard that Yang Lei had no intention of blaming her, and she breathed a sigh of relief. She gently shook her head and said, "It won't take that long." About a month should be enough. The divine beast blood hasn't been completely absorbed yet. Once Suzhan has completely absorbed it, she can wake up and help young master. Yang Lei then remembered that this divine beast blood was probably not that simple. The long-armed demonic ape emperor had not been able to completely refine it even after such a long time. Although Bai Suzhan's cultivation was much stronger, she also couldn't refine it completely in a mere day. A month wasn't too long, nor too short, but it was a bit regrettable that in this month, he could do many things. If he had Bai Suzhan's help, many things would be simplified, but alas, it was heaven's will, and he truly couldn't force it. It's only a month. Besides, what kind of person is your young master? Even a martial saint great perfection can be easily killed. As long as it's not a martial god, no one can do anything to me. So, Suzhan, you can rest assured and refine that divine beast blood, Yang Lei said, gently patting her fragrant shoulder. Then young master, I'll go into your body to cultivate. Bai Suzhan said, then her entire being transformed into a white light and entered Yang Lei's arm. With Bai Suzhan's matter settled, Yang Lei truly wasn't in a hurry to go out. He hadn't thoroughly examined the spoils of war he obtained from killing Sima Hu, Sima Sheng, and Sima Na earlier. First up was the intermediate array formation art. Ding, player, do you wish to learn intermediate array formation art? Learn. Ding, congratulations to the player for learning intermediate array formation art. After learning the intermediate array formation art, Yang Lei felt that his comprehension of array formations seemed much clearer. Next was the array formation he obtained, the 7 absolutes array. This 7 absolutes array was incredibly powerful, an advanced array formation. Although it was inferior to the 9 extremes profound thunder array, it was much stronger than ordinary array formations. The 7 absolutes array took its name from the meaning of the 7 absolutes. Severing heaven, severing earth, severing life and death. Entering the 7 absolutes array, if one didn't possess formidable cultivation, there was only one path, death. Of course, if 7 people simultaneously attacked the 7 great array gates of the 7 absolutes array, it could also be broken. Naturally, this required extremely strict tacit understanding among the 7 people. A slight carelessness would activate the life and death absolute array, and at that point, it would be a situation of no return. However, mastering this 7 absolutes array was extremely difficult, requiring 7 people to be in perfect sync. Only then could the 7 absolutes array display its greatest power. If the cultivation of all 7 people reached the martial emperor realm, then the 7 absolutes array they laid out could absolutely kill a martial god. But to find 7 people, and moreover, for them to achieve perfect synchronization, how difficult was that? Therefore, although the 7 absolutes array possessed boundless power, it had never truly been fully utilized to its maximum potential. Chapter 256, Exiting Seclusion. 1. Of course, this 7 absolutes array could also be set up using spirit stones, just like the 9 extremes profound thunder array. However, in that case, the array formation would be a dead object, lacking the flexibility of 7 people practicing it, and its power would be reduced several times. In other words, it would be much easier to break. Ding, player, do you wish to learn 7 absolutes array? Learn. Ding, congratulations to the player for learning 7 absolutes array. The 7 absolutes array was learned, but Yang Lei's array formation art was only intermediate, so he fundamentally couldn't set up such an advanced array formation. Apart from the intermediate array formation art and this 7 absolutes array, Yang Lei also obtained the heaven-suppressing tiger talisman and fierce tiger saber art this time. Heaven-suppressing tiger talisman, the tiger talisman of the ancient general Zhen Tian. Immortal artifact grade in a sealed and damaged state. The heaven-suppressing tiger talisman can summon 1,000 martial master-level soldiers to fight, capable of contending with a martial saint. Yang Lei's eyes widened. It was an immortal artifact, and the tiger talisman of the ancient general Zhen Tian. An immortal artifact, although damaged and in a sealed state, it was an immortal artifact after all, and its power was immense. It could actually summon 1,000 martial master-level soldiers to fight for him. These 1,000 soldiers could contend with a martial saint. How astonishing was that? Yang Lei knew very well that if they were ordinary martial masters, even 1,000 martial master great perfection cultivators could be easily dealt with by an elementary martial saint, let alone a martial saint great perfection expert. The appraisal art showed that the 1,000 martial master level soldiers summoned by this tiger talisman could contend with a martial saint. So even if they couldn't deal with a martial saint great perfection, ordinary martial saints would absolutely pose no problem. This tiger talisman was too abnormal. If this tiger talisman was completely unsealed and repaired, reaching its strongest state, then how powerful would it be? It was hard to imagine. The last item was the fierce tiger saber art. Yang Lei felt that among the spoils of war this time, the fierce tiger saber art was the most ordinary. Fierce tiger saber art, Earth rank 8th grade martial skill, very powerful. Although it was an Earth rank 8th grade martial skill, in Yang Lei's opinion, the fierce tiger saber art's power wasn't truly great. Of course, Yang Lei had to admit that the fierce tiger saber art in Sima Hu's hands was still quite powerful. You're finally out. Yang Lei pushed open the door, and Elder Gu quickly said. Oh, your cultivation has actually progressed so much? And your realm has also improved? Elder Gu, you jest. It's just a small bit of progress, Yang Lei said with a smile. What are you being humble about, brat? If this is a small bit of progress, what would be considered great progress? Elder Gu scolded with a laugh. In such a short period of time, his cultivation had progressed so much, leaving Gu Mo astonished. To achieve such an effect, he must have had a major breakthrough in his realm. If his realm had merely increased by 1 or 2 levels and his strength followed, Gu Mo wouldn't have been surprised. But surprisingly, Yang Lei's realm hadn't increased, yet his combat strength had doubled. Elder Gu, is Qing Shui alright? Yang Lei quickly changed the subject and asked. Gu Mo nodded slightly. After taking your antidote, the toxins in Qing Shui's body have been completely cleared. My own poisoning was also resolved thanks to your antidote. If I had to expel it myself, it would have taken quite some time, and there might have been lingering side effects. This time, we were truly fortunate to have you, little Lei. It's good that she's alright, it's good that she's alright. Hearing that the poison had been dispelled, Yang Lei also breathed a sigh of relief. If the antidote had been useless, it would truly have been a troublesome matter. Oh right, little Lei, how did you get the antidote? Tell us? Elder Gu was quite curious about how Yang Lei obtained the antidote from Sima Hu. Yang Lei said, there's no need to say more about that. He naturally couldn't reveal how he killed the martial saint great perfection. Everyone had their own secrets, their own ultimate moves, and the moves he used against Sima Hu and the other two were Yang Lei's most formidable moves at the moment. Of course, there was also Bai Suzhen. The less people knew about her advancing to martial god, the better. However, Yang Lei also knew that the strange phenomenon that occurred when Bai Suzhen cultivated was probably not so easy to conceal. But no one had seen that it was due to Bai Suzhen using divine beast blood, so he could find an excuse to cover it up. Of course, even if it was a clumsy excuse, given Elder Gu's status, if he didn't say it, he probably wouldn't ask too many questions. If you don't want to say, then not saying is also fine, Elder Gu looked at Yang Lei and said with a smile. If Yang Lei didn't want to say, he naturally wouldn't force him. After all, everyone had their own secrets in their hearts. Although Gu Mo didn't personally witness the battle, he clearly sensed the bloody scent on Yang Lei. This was something that couldn't be concealed after killing someone. Of course, if Yang Lei's cultivation reached martial saint, and he deliberately concealed it, such a situation wouldn't occur. But Yang Lei hadn't realized this point yet. Although Yang Lei's cultivation hadn't reached martial saint, if he had known, and concealed it a bit, absolutely no one, not even Elder Gu, would have been able to tell. Hearing Elder Gu say this, Yang Lei felt a little awkward. Actually, it's nothing. I once obtained a type of anesthetic smoke called 3 steps down. This anesthetic smoke can easily incapacitate even a martial god. This brat Sima who was only a martial saint, so he naturally couldn't escape it. Yang Lei fabricated a lie. Anesthetic smoke, such a trick. You even used that? This is not something a righteous person should do, Elder Channy said with a frown. Yang Lei then said, Elder Channy, your words are incorrect. What is righteous and what is evil? This distinction between good and evil, isn't it determined by what methods I use against my enemies? I think good and evil are determined by a person's inner heart, not by external methods against enemies. Of course, those utterly heartless acts are naturally not what righteous people should do, but using anesthetic smoke against an enemy is merely a method. In my eyes, no matter what, black cat or white cat, as long as it catches mice, it's the best. Yang Lei's tone was resonant and powerful.